Chapter 551. My Flamey is so adorable. Second floor of the Black Tower. Kyung-chul, take this. Sejun handed the divine relic of the god of hunting, the relentless hunter's bow, to Kyung-chul, who was feeling down after being called an uncle by Flamey. Huh, what's this? Kyung-chul, puzzled, received the bow. Oh wow, whoa. As he examined the bow, Kyung-chul couldn't help but repeatedly exclaim in awe. It was natural. This was a divine relic crafted directly by a god, something Earth's hunters had never even seen. On top of that, it was an SSS-grade item with no usage restrictions, and even had an amazing skill called homing wind arrow that could pursue enemies to the end. Sejun, seriously, thank you, but is it really okay for me to use this divine relic? Distracted by the item, Kyung-chul expressed his gratitude but also asked with a worried voice. Using a divine relic not only required overcoming its usage restrictions, but also winning the favor of the god, and he had heard gods could be very picky. It'll be fine. Hut, Kyung-chul, don't worry, meow. If Hunt acts up, just tell me, meow. Got it. Kyung-chul completely trusted their words. Sejun, what are you going to do now? Kyung-chul asked Sejun about his plans. To be precise, he wanted to go shoot the bow right away, but he couldn't just leave Sejun after he had come to see him, so he was asking as a courtesy. We're going to plant some green onions here before moving up. Don't worry about us, go ahead, it's fine. Kyung-chul, I can tell just from your face that you're dying to go shoot the bow. Seeing how happy his gift made Kyung-chul, Sejun spoke with a smile. Really, are you sure? Yeah. Thanks. Take care and see you next time. Yeah, you too, Sejun. With Sejun's permission, Kyung-chul hurried off to hunt. Shall we plant some green onions? Sejun began planting green onions with his group. A while later. All right. Kyung-chul, wandering the 33rd floor of the tower, spotted a swarm of spider monsters. He knocked an arrow onto the bowstring and pulled. But then, no matter how hard he pulled, the bowstring wouldn't budge. At that moment, Hunt, the god of hunting, is furious that someone with such meager abilities dares to use his divine relic. Hunt, the god of hunting, orders you with a chilling voice to return his divine relic to Sejun immediately. Hunt spoke to Kyung-chul in anger. He thought Sejun had lost his bow. But Sejun gave this to me, and Theo said if Hunt acts up, I should tell him. Kyung-chul responded in a meek voice. Then, Hunt suddenly fell silent. Hunt, the god of hunting, urges you to start hunting immediately, asking what you're doing when there's prey around. Hunt, the god of hunting, asks you to please tell Sejun Nim and Theo Nim that he was helpful. Hunt soon changed his stance, urging Kyung-chul to actively use the divine relic, and politely asking him to say good things about him to Sejun and Theo. Well, we'll see based on how you act. Kyung-chul realized once again how amazing Sejun was based on Hunt's reaction. My buddy is the best. With a little influence from his powerful connection, Kyung-chul began to rise as the strongest on Earth. Pug. This is fun. Flamey said as she placed seeds into the holes that Sejun had dug. Kilahit Kaying. Great, Blackie will cover them. Pababek. Then Blackie quickly covered the holes where Flamey had placed the seeds. Thus, Sejun, Flamey, and Blackie worked together in perfect harmony, planting green onions. However, Pushuhut, meow 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 meow. Kueha Kuung. Haha, Kuungi can plant quickly too. Seeing Theo and Kuungi planting green onions at an incredible speed, Sejun was hit hard with a sense of reality. There was no way he could match their speed. Isn't this a bit much? I'm the tower farmer. As expected, the answer was pure physical ability. At that moment, a guard has created a 33,000 square meters field of sturdy blade green onions. You have gained 50,000 experience points. A message appeared before Sejun. No, wait, I almost missed the point. Sejun realized what was important. Just befriend those with good physical abilities. Sejun quickly assessed the situation objectively and resumed planting green onions. After coming to his senses and planting green onions again, for about an hour you have achieved 100% farm restoration. You have completed the quest. You are recognized as the rightful owner of the land deed for the green onion farm on the second floor of the Black Tower. Land deed skill, farmland information LV, max is activated. At last, the second floor farm was completed. QUE. What, we have to stop working? Hamsters and people who suddenly lost their jobs were furious, but that would be Sybil the 18th problem to handle. There was still the grape farm on the fourth floor of the tower, and Sejun had instructed them to start restoring the third floor in advance. There were plenty of places to work. Let's head up now, guys, get into the void storage. Leaving Sybil the 18th surrounded by angry hamsters and people, Sejun quietly vanished, unfurling the land deed for the 89th floor of the Black Tower. It was too early to return home, since he hadn't created any special memories with Flamey yet. 99th floor of the Black Tower, inside the Wizard Tower. Kaiwat. I finally finished all the work I had fallen behind on during my closed-door training. Yona exclaimed as she jumped up while tightly hugging the heart-shaped furball Theo had made for her. Then, QUE. The hamsters of Hamk, thinking their work was also done, cheered together. Yona, who had come separately from Sejun, also returned separately and brought back 5 hamsters with talent for magic. She wanted to bring more, but 5 was her limit due to her abilities. At that moment, you're smiling, you think this is funny. I'm so fed up, if you so much as touch me, I'll bite you. Blackster was scolding them fiercely. Though his black body made him hard to see, Blackster had been handling all the work alone, and now his dark circles were so bad they nearly reached his knees. QUE. As the rookie hamsters endured Blackster's scolding. Kaiwat. Blackster, you've worked hard, so I'll give you a 3-day vacation. Go. Yona granted Blackster a vacation and disappeared to find Theo. And then, what, you can smile, shall we go eat? I'll treat you to something delicious. On his vacation, Blackster transformed into a gentle senior and led the hamsters to the cafeteria. You have arrived at the 89th floor of the Black Tower. It's cold. Why is it cold? Sejun hurriedly looked around. It's all ice. The transparent ground he was standing on. No, it turned out to be a massive frozen lake. It won't break, right? Thud. Sejun tapped the ice with his foot. Fortunately, the ice was quite thick. While Sejun was surveying the surroundings. Clang. Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, I missed you, meow. As the void storage opened, Theo jumped at Sejun's face and... Sejun Nim, I missed you too. Flamey, who had been riding on Theo's head, also shouted. It's warm. Thanks to Theo's fur, Sejun's face felt warm. Kyung. Kaying. Next, Kyungi and Blackie also dashed out and attached themselves to Sejun's body, making him feel as if he was wearing a furry coat. After his companions came out of the void storage. There's no message about me becoming the landowner. Then that must mean something, here, right? Sejun carefully walked across the ice-covered lake, hopping for a quest to appear, trying not to slip. Of course, that didn't last long. Sejun. How's this? I'm moving without falling, right? Sejun quickly slid across the ice, gliding smoothly. At that moment, rumble. Suddenly, the ground trembled. When Sejun looked down, he saw countless fish gathering beneath his feet, so dense that the ice below appeared pitch black. And then a quest has been generated. Quest, other life forms are dying because of the ice piranhas occupying the ice lake. Reduce the population of the ice piranhas to protect the lake's ecosystem from collapse. Ice piranhas, 010000. Frost Giant Piranhas, 01000. Supergiant Piranha, ruler of the Ice Lake 01. Reward: recognition as the rightful owner of the Ice Lake on the 89th floor of the Black Tower. A quest appeared before Sejun. Ice Piranhas. They want me to catch 100,000. On top of that, there were also 1,000 Frost Giant Piranhas and 1 Supergiant Piranha. Pew Hugh Hut, this is exciting, meow. Thanks to this, Theo was already thrilled. Let's make a hole first. Sejun drew his sword. Magic swordsmanship. After infusing it with magic power, he worked hard to make holes about 1 m in diameter in the ice. But Sejun had overlooked one thing. Why is this so deep? The ice was much thicker than Sejun had anticipated. When the ice thickness exceeded 10 meters, Sejun began to feel something was wrong. But smashing all the ice could risk breaking the entire lake. Of course, breaking all the ice wouldn't be a big problem, but that won't do. I want to show Flamey ice fishing. Sejun didn't want to ruin this moment. Pew Hugh Hut, Chairman Parkeye, Vice Chairman Theo will make the holes for you, meow. Peepatching. Theo extended his dragon claws and scrape. He drew a clean circle with his front paw on the ice. Thud. A perfectly circular piece of ice 1 m in diameter was cleanly cut. Kyung. Kugagung. Next, Kyungi used telekinesis to lift the cut section of ice and toss it aside. The ice was nearly 30 meters thick. No wonder it hadn't cut through easily. Sejun finally understood why he couldn't manage it on his own. Vice Chairman Theo make 3 more holes. Pew Hugh Hut understood, meow. After Theo made 3 more holes, and the ice fishing spot was ready. All right, everyone, from now on, we're only catching piranhas using fishing rods. Got it? Sejun handed out fishing rods and began hosting an ice fishing competition. There were no prizes, but Pew Hugh Hut, a hybrid Vice Chairman Theo, will definitely win, meow. Hee, I can do well too. Kyuehe Kyung. Hehe, Kyungi will catch the most, you know. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, Great Blackie will be first. Everyone was highly motivated. After all, anything with Sejun was always fun. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, Jigomi make a net. K Kurug. Blackie, that's cheating. If you do that one more time, you're disqualified. Kaying. Caught trying to use a net to catch the piranhas, Blackie reluctantly picked up a fishing rod again. I caught one, meow. 1d6d8. Kyung. All they had to do was attach a chunk of slime meat to the fishing line. Since the target was piranhas, they bit the bait as soon as it entered the water. Every time they pulled up the fishing rod, dozens of piranhas, devouring the slime meat, were hauled up with it. Hee, Sejun Nim, we got one too. All right, let's pull it up. Yes. At Flamey's call, Sejun and Flamey lifted their fishing rod together. Since Flamey couldn't lift the fishing rod alone, Sejun was assisting her. In the case of Blackie family, Kilahit Kaying. Hee, got one, everyone pull. Yes. K Kurug. Sharalering. Yes. K Kak. Pipiak. Mumu. Peepoo. Everyone worked together to lift the fishing rod. After about 3 hours of fishing, the sun began to set. Let's stop for today. Sejun ended the competition. Ice piranhas, 10,013 10,000. They had caught about 10,000 piranhas. The rankings were Theo in first place with 4,500 fish. Kyungi came in second by a small margin. Flamey was third with 900 fish, and Blackie family took fourth place. Kaiwat. Theo Nim, congratulations on first place. Pew Hugh Hut, my victory was only natural, meow. Yona, who had arrived midway and wrapped herself around Theo's tail to nap, rubbed her eyes and congratulated Theo. Time to eat dinner. Sejun took out wooden planks from the void storage to block the heat transfer, layered them on the ground, and then place stone slabs on top. And then, whoosh, he started a campfire and began grilling the piranhas. You have defeated a ice piranha. You gained 100 experience points. The piranhas must have still been alive, as they released experience points while being grilled. While the piranhas were cooking, Vice Chairman Theo cut the ice into brick-sized pieces. Sejun asked Theo to cut the ice. Since he planned to ice fish here for a few days, he decided to build an igloo. Pew hut got it, meow. Theo cut the ice, shaping it into bricks as he had done earlier when making the fishing holes. Kyung. Kaying. Sejun then started building the igloo, using the ice bricks that Kyungi and Blackie had brought over. Having built igloos many times before, the structure was quickly completed. And then, all right, come inside. Sejun and his companions finished their fulfilling day, eating grilled fish inside the igloo. Flamey, isn't this amazing? We're sleeping on top of a lake. These are all memories. Sejun was trying to forcefully create memories for Flamey, but, hey, for me, everything has been a cherished memory ever since I met you, Sejun Nim. Sniff, my Flamey is so adorable. In the end, it was Sejun who felt moved and realized he was the one creating memories. Chapter 552, I'm just a sunfish after all. Black Tower, 55th floor. Peep-ick. Peep-ick, peep-ick. Peep-ick, peep-ick. Peep. When the rabbits who had left to meet Sejun returned much earlier than expected. Why are they back already? Did something happen to them on the way? Their parent were very worried. But, oh, that's a dragon tattoo. When they saw the dragon tattoos engraved on the baby rabbits' left front paws, they met Sejunum. That's why they came back so early. The parent rabbits were relieved. Only Sejun, Theo, and Kyungi carried dragon scales that could engrave the dragon tattoos. Moreover, Theo and Kyungi spent almost all of their time with Sejun. In other words, having the dragon tattoo most likely meant they had met Sejun. When the baby rabbits reunited with their parents, Dad, I met Sejunum. Mom, Sejunum doesn't have horns. You didn't know that, did you? Sejunum has 2 arms. Uncle Theo is kind, he's not scary. As if they alone knew everything, the baby rabbits started chattering about Sejun and Theo to their parents. I miss the times I used to play with Sejunum. There were moments when Theonim took care of us. Listening to the baby rabbits, the parent rabbits recalled their own childhoods. After all, they too had times like that. The baby rabbits and parent rabbits smiled as they reminisced about other memories they shared with Sejun, while the baby rabbits and parent rabbits smiled happily. Walha, I'm here. Walgang, you're back. Walgang and Walha called each other's names and blushed. Calling each other by their new names felt a little awkward but also exciting. But Walgang, did Sejunum name us? I was so surprised when he suddenly gave us names. Yeah, I complained to Sejunum saying, how can you not give us names? Really? Yeah. Walgang had gotten a taste for bragging and lately told lies whenever he opened his mouth. Walgang, you're so cool. Well, it's nothing. Thanks to this, his status as the head of the household was greatly elevated. Then shall we go to our room and talk? But it seemed he had elevated it too much. Can't we just stay here? Follow me. All right, I'll go, so let go of my ears. Walgang was being dragged away by Walha by his ear. Morning on the 89th floor of the tower. It's hot. Sejun woke up sweating profusely in a damp state. Even though he had slept surrounded by ice on the frozen lake, Iona used magic to keep the bonfire burning all night, and being snuggled up with the furballs, Theo, Kyungi, and Blackie, made him so warm that he ended up sweating. At that moment, Sejunum, you're awake. A cool breeze brushed Sejun's face, along with Flamey's voice. 119:15. I can breathe now, thanks Flamey. Sejun placed Flamey, who had fanned him with her leaves, onto his palm and petted her gently. Then he gathered his companions and stepped outside. Wow, it's so cool. The cold air quickly cooled his sweat, and soon the sweat started to freeze. It's cold. Hurriedly, Sejun went back inside the igloo, shook off the frozen sweat, warmed up by the fire and prepared breakfast. In a place like this, we need to eat something warm. The menu was a spicy fish porridge made with the piranha they caught yesterday, with pieces of dough added in. When the ice attribute ice piranha was made into a dish, it had the effect of increasing cold resistance. A short while later, Aileen, eat this. Sejun handed a huge pot of fish porridge to Aileen. Then, guys, come eat. He scooped portions of fish porridge into bowls and handed them out to Kyungi and Blackie family. Sejun gave grilled fish and roasted peanuts to Theo and Iona, both of whom were quite particular about their food. Seeing them like this, they definitely looked like a well-matched couple. Now it's my turn to eat. After taking care of everyone, Sejun scooped up a large spoonful of the fish porridge. Woo woo. He blew on it to cool it down, and then put it into his mouth. Gulp, as the spicy fish porridge slid down his throat. This hits the spot. The warmth spread through his body, and he couldn't help but exclaim in satisfaction. After warming himself up with the hot porridge, fireball. He used Iona's magic to break the ice that had frozen over the lake overnight. All right, let the second ice fishing competition begin. And just like that, today's ice fishing contest started again. I'll add a new rule today. If you catch a frost giant piranha, it'll count as 5,000 regular piranhas, and if you catch a super giant piranha, it'll count as 15,000 regular ones. Since Theo and Kyungi dominated the contest yesterday, Sejun added a new rule to make things more interesting. Although the rule was added for fun, there were always those who took even light-hearted competitions way too seriously. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, Great Blackie has a brilliant idea. Muck pupil, you'll be the bait to lure the supergiant piranha. Peepoo. What, me? Muck pupil, startled by Blackie's words, began to back away. However, Kaying, guys, tie him up. The youngest had no choice in the matter. Kaying, Muck pupil, you can do it. Peepoo. And so, with Blackie's encouragement, Muck pupil was tossed into the ice lake instead of slime meat. Sploosh. As soon as he entered the water, the piranhas, attracted by Muck pupil's scent, swarmed toward him. Peepoo. You bastards, how dare you attack the great Muck pupil who can devour the seas? Unforgivable. Slap. Muck pupil easily defeated the approaching piranhas with his legs. Thanks to being named by Sejun, all of his stats had increased by 888. While taking down the swarming piranhas, Muck pupil activated his power. Ink 8 shadow clones. Peepoo. He spouted ink, creating clones that scattered in all directions. The ink clones, resembling Muck pupil, spread out to search for and lure the supergiant piranha. Though each clone only had 20% of the original's power, it was enough to fend off approaching piranhas while moving. While Muck pupil and his clones were busy searching for the supergiant piranha. Sejunum, I've got a bite. Got it, Ucha. Hut, I've caught one, meow. Kyungi caught another one too. Everyone except Blackie family was busy catching piranhas. Meanwhile, Kaiwo, why aren't any fish biting my bait? Despite choosing an excellent spot where there were more fish than water, Iona somehow managed to catch very few piranhas. Haha, the world really is fair. Sejun chuckled as he watched Iona struggle. At that moment, boom! A hole in the ice lake shot up water like a fountain, and piranhas began to fall freely from the sky along with the water. Then, magic move according to my command, invisible hand. Iona caught the falling piranhas from the water in the air and declared triumphantly, Kaiwat, I'm first place now. She laughed happily. That's cheating. Only fish caught with fishing rods count in this competition. Kaiwat, as Sejun reminded Yona of the rules of the ice fishing contest. Peepoo. Underneath the ice lake, Muckpupil was desperately running away from the supergiant piranha. Just a moment earlier. Found it. One of Muckpupil's clones had located the supergiant piranha and lured it to Muckpupil. That part had gone well. The problem was that 1,000 frost giant piranhas, guarding the supergiant piranha, had come along as well. To make matters worse. Wait, to catch this thing I have to get eaten. Muckpupil belatedly realized that for the plan to succeed, he would have to be swallowed. I don't want that. Muckpupil fled at full speed, and the supergiant piranha, along with the frost giant piranhas, began to chase him. He created clones to scatter and distract the enemy's attention, but the supergiant piranha stubbornly pursued only Muckpupil. In the process, the water churned violently, creating fountains. Despite his desperate attempts to escape, Muckpupil was eventually swallowed by the supergiant piranha. His trivial abilities were no match for it. And then, Killahit Kaying. Hee, it's hooked, pull it up, guys. The Blackie family excitedly pulled on their fishing rods. However, Kaying, the supergiant piranha's strength, was too much for the Blackie family to handle. Kaying, Butler, help. Swoosh. Blackie, being dragged along with the fishing rod, called out to Sejun. Blackie. Sejun rushed forward and grabbed Blackie, but swoosh. He was dragged along too. Kaying. Why are you coming with me, Butler? Sorry. I'm just a sunfish after all. Finally, Sejun's true feelings came out. Just before Sejun and Blackie were about to plunge into the freezing lake, Kyungi used telekinesis to lift both Sejun and Blackie back up, pulling the supergiant piranha along with the fishing rod. However, snap! The fishing line wasn't strong enough to hold the supergiant piranha. Kaying. Muckpupil. As the line snapped, only Sejun and Blackie made it back to the surface. Thus began the Muckpupil rescue operation. Of course, it wasn't anything fancy. After briefly pausing the ice fishing competition. Let's go. Hut got it, meow. Hurry, let's save Muckpupil. Kaying. Kaiwat. Everyone got into a waterproof bubble created by Theo and began searching the lake. Wow! Why is it so empty? The lake bed was completely barren, a result of the piranhas having run wild. After about an hour of scouring the lake, Kugagung, the supergiant piranha and the frost giant piranhas spotted Sejun's group and swam toward them with their enormous mouths wide open. There's Muckpupil. Fortunately, Muckpupil was clinging to the supergiant piranha's gums, unharmed. Kaying. Muckpupil. Peepoo. Blackie and him, you came to save me. Kaying. Of course, we're family. Gomi, use your web. Kurug. Swoosh. Following Blackie's command, Gomi shot a spider web at Muckpupil and tied him up. Kaying. Pull. The Blackie family and Sejun pulled Muckpupil into Theo's waterproof bubble. Kyung. They messed with our Muckpupil. Let's teach them a lesson. Crackle. Once Muckpupil was rescued, Kyungi pulled out his thunderbolt staff and struck the supergiant piranha and the surrounding piranhas. Intermediate herbalist Kyungi Park has defeated supergiant piranha, the ruler of the ice lake. You've gained 50 million experience points, which is 50% of the experience points earned by Intermediate Herbalist Kyungi. Intermediate Herbalist Kyungi Park has defeated the frost giant piranhas. With the piranhas defeated, the Muckpupil rescue operation was successfully completed. And by reducing the piranha population, the ecosystem of the ice lake has begun to recover. Quest has been completed. You have been recognized as the rightful owner of the Ice Lake land deed on the 89th floor of the Black Tower. The quest was also completed, although the ice fishing competition came to an ambiguous end. Pew Hut, the supergiant grilled fish and the frost giant grilled fish are all mine, Vice Chairman Theo's meow. Kaiwat Kaiwat Kaiwat, congratulations Theonim. Hee Sejunum, that was fun. Kuahet Kuang. Haha, there's so much to eat. Kilahit Kaying. This time the stars were us, the Blackie family. Everyone seemed satisfied with the results. However, now let's make sleds and play. The competition wasn't over yet. Sejun quickly crafted sleds and sticks for pushing on the ice, using wooden planks and fire ant carapace made of metal material. All right, stand at the starting line. At Sejun's words, the group each got onto their sleds and took their positions. Go. Meow. Kuang. Kaiwat wind. Sh Huang. In an instant, Theo, Kuangi and Iona reached the other side of the ice lake. Siejwak. Sejunum, hang in there. At this rate, Blackie will catch up to you. Yeah, huff. Once again, it was a battle for last place between Sejun and Blackie family. Kilahit Kaying. Guys, push harder. If we try just a little more, we can beat the butler. Under Blackie's command, the Blackie family diligently pushed their sled forward. Peepoo. In particular, Mukbupal used his clones, wielding 72 sticks, to push the ice in perfect sync. The gap between Sejun and Blackie family began to close rapidly. A little while later, huff, I won. Sejun barely managed to reach the other side of the lake, overtaking Blackie family. Pew Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, I senses something pulling from about 10 km away, meow. Chairman Park, your face looks ugly, meow. While Sejun panted, Theo looked south while kneading Sejun's face with his front paw in. Kaiwat, if it's 10 km in that direction, that's where Amur Lanjanum, the second apostle of creation, once stayed. Following Theo's gaze, Iona spoke. Is that so? If it's where the second apostle of creation stayed, there must be something valuable there. Sejun smiled as he began preparing for a new adventure. Kaying. We lost to the butler. Not knowing that the creation god's third apostle behind him was dejected from the wounds of defeat. Chapter 553, Theo is my friend, you can't take him away. Combat Shop Headquarters. What should I do? Is there no good solution? There are only a few hours left now. Battler grew increasingly anxious as the 3-day deadline that Theo had mentioned approached. And then, this is all Hunt's fault. Battler blamed Hunt. However, this time, Hunt was indeed partially at fault, because he informed Battler a day late. One of the 3 days Theo gave had already been wasted. Should I go or not? Battler, agonizing over the decision for a while. Ah, that's right. Come to think of it. He remembered that Bev, the god of courage, and Thunder, the god of storms, were on friendly terms with Sejun and Kuangi, who hang out with Theo. He could ask them. It would hurt his pride as the god of battle to ask another god for a favor, but it was less humiliating than kneeling in front of Theo. Thus, Battler went to find Bev and Thunder. What, you want me to talk to Sejun to persuade Theo? What, you want me to ask Kuangi to talk to Theo? Bev and Thunder, upon receiving Battler's request, hesitated. If I say something, will Sejun listen? I don't think so, won't I just get blocked again? Kuangi blocks me no matter what I say. They hesitated, worried about getting blocked. But then, you're so stingy. Fine. If you just tell him, I'll give you 100 million divine power each. Battler thought the two were trying to negotiate. He didn't realize that 2 gods were struggling because of 1 human and 1 bear, while he himself was struggling because of 1 cat. Of course, none of these individuals were ordinary beings. All right, I'll give it a try. I'll try talking to him too. Bev and Thunder were swayed by the 100 million divine power and tried asking Sejun and Kuangi to cancel calling Battler despite risking getting blocked, But Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun has blocked conversation for 3 days. Gyeonggi Park has blocked conversation for 3 days. As expected, they got blocked. Moreover, it had the opposite effect. Black Tower's legendary merchant Theo Park says he'll impeach you if you don't come right now. Battler was summoned immediately. Black Tower, 89th floor. On the way to Amur Lange's mansion. All right, let's go. Shuang. Sejun and his companion were quickly sliding down the snow-covered mountain on sleds. They could have taken an easier route to Amur Lange's mansion without crossing the mountain, but they intentionally climbed to the top and slid down because Puhu Hut. Once again, Vice Chairman Theo is in first place. Meow. Hee, this is fun. Kyung. Kyungi is fast too. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, the great Blackie is coming through. Kaiwat, I can't lose. Because it was fun. While none of the party except Sejun had ridden sleds before, they all performed better than him. Sledding relied not only on physical ability, but also on the instinct to descend without reducing speed, which they all naturally excelled at. Guys, wait for me. Sejun, who quickly fell behind. Sejunum, I'll stay with you. Only Flamey heard Sejun's cry, slowed down and matched his pace. A short while later. Meow, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, why are you still here? Meow. I came back because I was worried. Meow. Kyung. Dad said to do it, but why can't you? Theo and Kyungi, who had already reached the bottom of the mountain, climbed back up to the middle of the slope to find Sejun and Plub. They clung to Sejun's knee and side and went down together. When they reached the mountain's base, Kilahit Kaying. Butler, I won this time. Kaiwat, well done. The Blackie family and Iona, who had been waiting below in case their paths diverged, welcomed Sejun warmly. Once everyone was gathered again. I'm hungry. Theo, help fillet the piranhas and the rest go get some firewood. Sejun assigned tasks to the group and began preparing dinner. The menu for dinner was fish cutlet. It seemed they would be eating only fish for a while, to consume the piranhas filling the void storage. Well, it was that much anyway. If they wanted, they could finish it in just 2 or 3 meals. After all, there was Kyungi, the glutton, and Aileen, who pretended otherwise but was also a glutton. Sizzle. While frying the fish in oil, Sejun also prepared tartar sauce, grilled fish for Theo, and roasted peanuts for Yona. Aileen, here you go. Tower's administrator says thank you for the meal. Sejun handed the food to Aileen. 119. Guys, let's eat. Gathering cozily around the campfire, the group started their meal. HM, this is delicious. Perhaps because they had played and worked hard, the food tasted even better. Just then Bev, the god of courage, asks you to persuade Theo to not call Battler. Kyung. Bev and Thunder suddenly spoke to Sejun and Kyungi. Theo, did you call Battlernim? Sejun confirmed the truth. That's right, Meow. Battlernim is bad, Meow. Battlernim did. In response to Sejun's question, Theo revealed all the things Battler had done so far. And then, what? He tried to tame my Theo. How dare he? Kyung. He looked down on Big Brother. Grrrking. How dare he? Butler, let's punish him. The group became enraged upon hearing Theo's story. I'll kill him. Especially Yona, who looked ready to become a godslayer on the spot. Block. Kyung. Sejun and Kyungi immediately blocked Bev and Thunder, who had sided with Battler. Theo, call Battlernim, and everyone gather. How dare you mess with my Theo, Battlernim? This will be a very rough trip for you. Sejun prepared to confront Battler in the mental world. While all beings in the tower were precious to Sejun, Theo was special. Theo was the first being to place absolute trust in him when he was a nobody. Whenever he was ignored, Theo would get angrier than Sejun himself. Theo always brought him the best things first. That was Theo. That's why he was precious. Theo is my friend. You can't take him away. While Sejun was angry at Battler who tried to tame Theo. As expected, Chairman Park really cares about me, meow. Theo felt happy as he watched the angry Sejun. Pew hut, Battlernim, hurry up and come, meow. If you don't, it's impeachment, meow. When Theo sent a final ultimatum to Battler. Thud. A shield made of iron fell before, shield of agony. It was a divine relic sent as a vessel for descent. Clunk. As Theo grabbed the shield, Sejun and the group also grabbed Theo. And then, Kur, Gorarung, Kurorung. They all fell asleep together. Kyungi's mental world. Get out. Kyuka. The moment Battler descended, he was struck by a light roar from the beast of apocalypse. The impact nearly shredded his entire body, and he was kicked out. Come here. As Battler was expelled from Kyungi's mental world, Flamey, who had been waiting, intercepted him and dragged him into her own mental world. Although she had to hide her identity from Sejun, she was also angry and couldn't just let it go. How dare you try to tame Theopa? Our Opa is not a pet. Crash, boom, bang. Oog. Flamey hit Battler roughly 100 times with her roots before. Go and apologize. She sent him to Sejun's mental world, where Sejun and the others were waiting. And then, Pew Hut, Supergiant Chairman Park will punish you, meow. Kaiwo disappear. Grrr, how dare you mess with our big brother? I'll bury you with stones. I'll seal you forever with my webs. My power can rot even souls. Theo, Iona, and the Blackie family who were waiting in Theo's mental realm severely punished Battler while intimidating him. Eek, please spare me. Battler knelt, not only on his knees but also rubbing his hands together desperately. Normally, Sejun would have stopped them at this point, but this time he was too angry. Instead, he stood far back and simply watched. He wanted to hit Battler himself, but since his strikes wouldn't harm Battler and would only get in the way of the others, he stayed behind. Meow, from now on, offer 3 shields every month, meow. Yes. After a prolonged scolding, Battler barely managed to escape by agreeing to supply divine relics to Theo. Finally, he was able to return to the combat shop headquarters. Pew Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park this way, meow. All right. Back in reality, Sejun followed Theo's lead as they resumed heading toward the mansion of Amour Lange. Outskirts of destruction. Crunch. It's over. We did it. Hydra and Leviathan shouted with ecstatic voices after successfully shedding their final skins. A life-risking molting. A single mistake could have cost them their lives or left them weaker than before. Thankfully, both succeeded, and now they had even larger bodies and greater strength. Phew, it's finally over. Jormungandr sighed in relief as he looked at the two. Since Kraken disappeared, he had been carefully commanding the remaining calamities for 10 days, ensuring nothing was lost. It had been exhausting. Of course, even though Hydra and Leviathan had finished their molting, they needed time to stabilize their bodies before they could move. I'll make use of your old skins. The molted skins, imbued with the energy of destruction, were excellent resources for creating new forces. Calamities, answer my call. As Jormungandr gathered and compressed the skins of Hydra and Leviathan with his power. From the first calamity, Locust, to the 8th calamity, Flesh Eaters, excluding the 6th calamity, Ogres, tens of thousands of calamities were born. Kehe, with this I have enough troops. Jormungandr laughed as he looked at the massive army. Go, show them the power of destruction. He sent the entire army to a world that had been troubling him lately. A level 10 world. Drakenia. A world inhabited by dragons. Pew Hut, here meow, I feel a pull from here meow. Theo pointed with his paw at a massive mansion. Unlike the snow-covered surroundings, the mansion had a beautiful garden full of flowers. There were no guards in sight, likely because Amur Lange had already left. All right, let's go inside. Clang! Sejun boldly opened the iron gate of the mansion. Then, welcome Park Sejun, Tower Farmer of the Black Tower and your companions. I am Amur Lange, the Apostle of Creation. The lingering thoughts of Amur Lange welcomed Sejun and his group. If you wish to obtain the reward I have left here, you must pass my trial. It seemed that Amur Lange had left something behind. As Amur Lange spoke, Sejun and his party's vision turned dark. And then the trial began. Come at me, you must defeat me to obtain the reward. The lingering thoughts of Amur Lange appeared in each of their mental worlds. Kyung. Kyungi woke up first as the beast of apocalypse tore apart Amur Lange's annoying thought with its gaze and Hayep. Flamey destroyed Amur Lange's thoughts next, regaining her consciousness. Supergiant Chairman Park, punish him, meow. Pew Hud. Annihilate. Kaiwat. Theo and Yona followed shortly after, awakening as well. Hey, why didn't you come greet me? Blackie and his subordinates woke up a bit later, having punished Amur Lange's thoughts for not coming to greet him. Pip. Even Peacebees, who was napping and caught off guard, defeated Amur Lange's lingering thoughts and passed the trial. And then, Ku. The only one still asleep was Sejun, who snored loudly, unable to wake up. A sunfish in both body and soul, Sejun lagged behind as always. While his companions waited for Sejun to pass the test quickly and become stronger. Pew Hud. He. Q-ha. Kivihid. Kaiwat. To keep Sejun warm, they found spots on his knee, palm, side, and chest as they waited patiently for him to wake up. Chapter 554, Audiovisual Class, This is the Best. Inside Sejun's mental world. All right, come at me. The expressionless thought projection of Amur Lange curled a finger at Sejun. SRRRNG. Although Amur was unarmed, Sejun didn't let his guard down in the slightest and drew his sword. Magic swordsmanship. He infused magic power into it. Woom, the sword hummed, and a transparent energy formed along the blade. Here I come. Sejun charged at Amur, swinging the sword with all his might. Wulong. A strong gust of wind blew along the path of Sejun's sword. A clean strike. This was the swordsmanship he had learned after getting pummeled by Master Bo. Thwack. Urg. But what came back was Amur's solid fist. That really hurts. Sejun's face twisted in pain as he shook it off and looked up. Again. Amur moved his finger in the same starting position. Seeing Amur like that made Sejun furious. So he charged in recklessly. Hiya. Thwack. Yep. Thwack. Die. Thwack. Only Sejun ended up getting beaten to a pulp. And then, again, Amur's expressionless thought moved his finger again to provoke Sejun. However, how can someone be this bad? Inwardly, Amur was shocked at Sejun's skill level. Because Sejun was a farmer, Amur had left behind an extremely weak thought. But Sejun's skills were so lacking, Amur couldn't even pretend to lose. At this rate, there was no solution. While Amur's thought was feeling overwhelmed by Sejun's incompetence. I'm done. Something even more baffling happened. What? I'm not taking the test. You're saying you won't accept the reward. Yes, I'm just leaving. Sejun, who had been beaten too much, was now sulking. What's wrong with this guy? The order Amur had received from his main body was to test Sejun's qualifications and give him the reward. But now he refused to take the test. No matter what, he had to give him the reward. I'll go easy on you this time, so come at me. No thanks. I really will go easy on you. If you could have done that, you should have done it earlier. I'm sorry. Instead, I'll change the test method. Desperately trying to make Sejun accept the reward, Amur Lange cajoled him. You're changing the test. That's right. If you watch the holy battle of the apostles of creation against the apostles of destruction until the end, I'll consider you as having passed the test. He decided to replace the test with a history lesson. A test you pass just by watching. I'll do it. Audiovisual class, this is the best. Sejun happily agreed, and the battle between the apostles of creation and the apostles of destruction began unfolding before Sejun. At a speed of nearly 10,000 times normal, such speed was only possible because it was within the mental world. The first battle was between 9 apostles of destruction, excluding seats 1, 2, and 3, and 50 apostles of creation. Quagwing. Boom. Oh. The flashy battle, almost like watching a movie, had Sejun completely engrossed. As the battle continued, the number of apostles of creation gradually decreased, and the apostles of destruction they fought against also dwindled. About 5 hours into the battle. Blank stare. Sejun started to get bored. No matter how flashy the battle, after 5 hours it was just boring. After 10 hours. KRRR. Sejun realized that he could fall asleep, even in his mental world. At one point, the terrifying figure of Blackie, fighting against the apostles of creation, appeared. However, thanks to Sejun falling asleep, Blackie's identity remained hidden. I should speed this up. While Sejun slept, Amur increased the speed to 300,000 times. Amur figured that if Sejun watched this entire 3,000-year-long battle, he'd probably quit halfway through. After several tens of hours passed. It's over, wake up. Amur woke Sejun, who had been dozing off while watching the battle. Is it over? Yes, you've passed the test, so the reward is now yours. Amur Lange's thought completed its mission with a relieved voice and disappeared, while Sejun returned to reality. On the 3rd day since Sejun lost consciousness. Meow, the face of Great Hybrid Chairman Park is completely ugly, meow. Squish, squish. Theo pressed his paws against Sejun's face, diligently kneading it. As Theo busily massaged Sejun's face. Kaiwat, kaiwat, kaiwat. Yona was comfortably sleeping, curled around Theo's tail. Hee. Flamey darted around energetically, drawing something invisible with her leaves on Sejun's hands, legs, and head. Kuehe kuong. Hee, Dad needs energy, so he has to eat. One for Dad, one for me. Kuongi made sure Sejun wouldn't go hungry, putting food into his mouth. Kilahit kaying. Hee, hey butler, are you still not done? Let's play already. Blackie tugged at Sejun's clothes, whining. Peacebees was sleeping at the moment, but during the night when everyone else slept, it kept watch over Sejun alone and sang songs of encouragement for him. At that moment, Sejun woke up. Pew hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park is awake, meow. Hee, Sejun Nim, you're awake. Kyung. Dad, are you okay? Kilahit kaying. Hee, butler, let's play. Kaiwat. Sejun Nim, are you all right? The companions each asked about Sejun's condition in their own ways. You have passed the test left by Amur Lange. All stats increase by 100. Mental strength increases by 100. So they even give rewards for passing tests like this. Hehe, I'm fine. Sejun smiled after checking the messages and reassured his companions. But how long was I asleep? Squish. Sejun asked as he looked at Theo, who was kneading his face. His body felt so refreshed that it didn't feel like he had only slept for a little while. You slept for 3 days, meow. 3 days? That's right, meow. That's really long. Then shall we go get the reward? Sejun got up and entered the mansion. And then, a painting. In the center of the mansion's lobby, there was a painting. Isn't this us? It was a painting of Sejun and his companions. Theo was hanging on Sejun's knee with a big smile, and Yona was curled around Theo's tail, also smiling. Kyungi was clinging to Sejun's side, grinning, while the Blackie family sat in a sling bag eating roasted and dried sweet potatoes with contented faces. Flamey was stretching on top of Sejun's straw hat, basking in the sunlight. Is Peacebe's not here? Looking more closely, Sejun noticed Peacebe's camouflaged on his thigh. It was an excellent painting that captured the companion's adorable appearance perfectly. Except for one thing. But why is my face the only one not properly drawn? Sejun frowned as he looked at his face in the painting, which lacked eyes, a nose, and a mouth, unlike the rest of the group. The canvas was a reward left behind by Amour Lange, which automatically painted the image of those who passed the test. However, because Sejun hadn't passed the test properly, his face wasn't drawn. Is it because I said I wouldn't take the test? Wow, that's petty. When Sejun expressed his disappointment at the faceless drawing. Sejun Nim, I'll scold Amour Lange for you later. Kilahit Kaying. Hee butler, when I meet Amour later I'll punish him. Flamey and Blackie comforted Sejun. All right, thanks guys. I'll just take the thought. Sejun assumed that Flamey and Blackie, being super sunfish, were just trying to cheer him up. However, how dare he not draw our Sejun Nim properly? Amour, just wait until I see you. How dare you not draw my butler's face? Even if it's ugly, you should have drawn it. Flamey and Blackie were very, very angry. Because Amour had ruined a meaningful family portrait of Sejun and the others together. Because of this, Amour had earned the ire of the two strongest members of the Sejun family, Flamey and Blackie. Amour Nim, I'll punish you when we meet, meow. Amour Nim, I'll punish you later. Of course, Theo and Kyungi were holding grudges too. And, what's this? Why does it suddenly feel cold? Amour suddenly felt chills down his spine, goosebumps rising all over his body. Shudder. As Sejun, now comforted by Flamey and Blackie, picked up the painting, you have received the reward left by Amour Lange. You have obtained a portal scroll. A message appeared. Amour Lange had left the reward for Sejun, thinking it might help him in the battles on the land of destruction. It was a portal scroll that led to the temple of the creator god. A portal scroll. Kaiwat. A portal scroll creates a portal connected to a specific place. At Sejun's question, Iono explained. Really? When Sejun turned the painting over, the back was filled with densely drawn magic circles. The front was the painting, and the back was a scroll containing a magic circle. Sejun checked the options of the portal scroll. A scroll engraved with portal magic by Amour Lange, the apostle of creation. The back of the scroll is painted, with the images of those permitted to enter the portal. The portal remains active for 24 hours once opened. Linked portal coordinates, Temple of the Creator God. Usage restriction. Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun having magic power of 50,000 or more. Creator, Amour Lange, Apostle of Creation. Grad. A portal connected to the Temple of the Creator God. The grade is really high. The scroll itself wasn't that special, but since the Temple of the Creator God was a place no one could enter without permission, its grade was elevated to 5 stars. If I go there, could I meet the Creator God who they say ran away? But I only have around 12,000 magic power. And even that was achieved by borrowing various powers, talents, titles, and stats from other tower farmers. There's no Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun with magic power of 50,000 in this world. Sejun grumbled as he carefully put away the portal scroll. Even if he couldn't use the scroll, the painting itself, depicting his companions, was precious enough. Let's go. Hut, all right, meow. Yes. Kyung. Kaying. Kaiwat, yes. After collecting Amour Lange's reward, Sejun left the mansion with his companions. As Sejun and his companions departed, the mansion disappeared, and snow began to gently pile up in its place. And then, Wow, it's snowing. Sejun stopped and watched the falling snow with his companions. Grrrgly. I'm hungry. Sejun boiled ramen, the fastest meal he could prepare. After starving for 3 days, his hunger was unbearable. Although Kyungi had fed him bits of food while he was unconscious, he hadn't been able to chew properly, so he hadn't eaten much. A little while later. This is amazing. Sejun took a sip of the ramen broth and let out a sigh of satisfaction. Slurp. He began eating in earnest. The taste of ramen eaten while breathing out white puffs under the heavily snowing sky was truly the best. Kyung. He, Dad, drink some coffee. To top it off, Kyungi made him a delicious cup of coffee. My son is the best. Sejun patted Kyungi on the head as he sipped the coffee. I'm so happy. But why do I feel like I'm forgetting something? While Sejun was basking in slightly uneasy happiness. Sejun, what happened? In-law promises are important things. Son-in-law Park, didn't you say you'd cook for Aileen every day? Why, brother-in-law, why did you lie? Hurry and come back. Sejun's in-laws on the 99th floor of the tower were in danger. The tower's administrator says to try the new dish she just made. This was all because Aileen had started cooking again, while Sejun was unconscious for 3 days. At that moment, the tower's administrator shouts not to touch the food. The tower's administrator says this food is for my Sejun since he's awake now. Fortunately, Aileen noticed that Sejun had woken up, and the in-laws were freed from Aileen's cooking. Sejun, thank you. In-law will never forget your sacrifice. Son-in-law Park, thank you. Brother-in-law, you're the best. 119. The in-laws expressed their gratitude to Sejun. And then, the tower's administrator says to try the food she made quickly. Oh! Sejun finally realized what he had forgotten. WOWTH is delicious. Sejun ate the food while speaking more robotically than a robot. He put Aileen's food into his mouth. Gulp, gulp. And washed it down by forcing it down his throat with a drink. Sejun Nim, you can do it. While Flamey cheered him on, enthusiastically waving her leaves, the night grew deeper. And then, there are only 5 days left that I can spend with Sejun Nim. Flamey felt sad as the vacation flew by in an instant, and resolved to create even more memories with Sejun. But the more I think about it, the angrier I get. Sejun Nim fainted, and we lost 3 days of vacation. Flamey, still holding a grudge, couldn't forgive Amour no matter how hard she tried. Chapter 555. I have dragon bones. Would dragons treat me well if I go there? On the morning of the 6th day of Flamey's vacation. Mi wo. Huam. Kyung. Kikiyang. Kaiwat. Sejun and his companions came out of the house built on the snowfield, stretching and yawning. Sejun was still on the 89th floor of the tower. He had completed the land deed quest, acquired Amour Lange's reward, and registered the waypoint, but he hadn't returned to the 99th floor of the tower, because there were still things to do here with his companions. A little while later. After breakfast. Guys, today we're going to build snowmen. Sejun demonstrated to his companions how to roll snowballs to increase their size, and how to make snowmen. He also wanted to have a snowball fight, but considering the life-risking stakes involved, he held back. As soon as Sejun finished showing how to make a snowman. Pew hut, I shall build a supergiant Chairman Park snowman, meow. Kyung. Haha, Kyungi will build a snowman of Dad bigger than Big Brother. Kaiwat, I'll make a snowman of Theonim. Thud. Theo, Kyungi, and Iona immediately started rolling snowballs that were already over 5 meters in diameter, and they quickly grew larger. As expected, those 3 are on another scale. Watching them, Sejun turned his gaze elsewhere. Flamey was rolling a small snowball made with her leaves. However, halfway through, Flamey's leaves seemed to feel the cold, so she detached them from the snowball. Eelap. Whoosh. Flamey ignited its leaves to warm them up before continuing to roll the snowball. So Flamey gets cold too, huh? Gloves would be good, but... Sejun thought for a moment. He took out 4 pieces of cloth and roughly cut them into squares the size of Flamey's leaves, layered 2 pieces each, and sewed 3 sides to close the holes, making a pair of square mittens, crude square mittens. These mittens were made by Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun, using cloth and minimal sewing. Because they are square and mitten-like, they make it difficult to perform detailed tasks while wearing them. However, they retain heat for a bit longer on the covered parts. Usage restriction, none. Creator, Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun. Grade F. This should do it right. Since he made them in a hurry, the mittens were rated F, but they served their main purpose, keeping Flamey's leaves warm. Flamey, show me your leaves. Yes. Flamey happily extended her leaves at Sejun's words. Sh whoop. Sejun carefully put the mittens on Flamey's 2 leaves. Fortunately, they fit well. The square shape was a bit of an issue, but... Thank you, Sejun. I'll use them well. Flamey didn't seem to mind at all. These are the first gifts Sejun has ever made for me. Instead, she spent a long time admiring the crude gloves Sejun made as if they were works of art, looking at them from different angles with moved eyes. But where did Blackie go? Sejun looked around, but Blackie was nowhere to be seen. I hope he's not causing trouble somewhere. Sejun felt a bit uneasy, but since the entire area was just a snowfield, even if Blackie got into trouble, he wouldn't get hurt. That thought reassured him. Assuming Blackie was busy building a snowman somewhere, Sejun said, Flamey, let's make a snowman now. I'll help you. Yes. Together, Sejun and Flamey started building a snowman. While Sejun was making several 1-meter snowmen with Flamey by helping roll her snowballs. Kugagung. Theo, Kyungi, and Iona's snowballs, driven by their competitive need to make the largest ones, continued to grow larger and larger. The snowballs, now as big as small hills at 15 meters in diameter, moved further away in search of more snow. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Kilahit Kaying. The biggest snowman will be ours. With the help of K-Kabai, Karurur, Shari, and Mubelchill, Blackie family had flown to the summit of the tallest snow-covered mountain nearby and joined the snowball size competition. Kaying. Guys, let's roll. Yes. K-Kurug. Sharilering. Blackie started rolling 2 small snowballs with his subordinates. After all, you need 2 parts, a body and a head, to make a snowman. As expected, the great Blackie is a genius. Blackie felt proud of himself for coming up with the idea to roll 2 snowballs at once. Slide. The 2 small snowballs started rolling from the top of the mountain. At first they moved slowly, but as they rolled, they gained momentum and began speeding up. The snowballs rapidly grew larger as they absorbed the snow on the ground. In the blink of an eye, the 2 snowballs had grown to 10 meters in size. Great, we're going to win this for sure. While displaying the essence of snowball rolling, Blackie family chased after the snowballs enthusiastically, riding the sled Sejun had made for them. However, perhaps their greed had gone too far. Thud, thud. The impact of the 2 massive snowballs rolling disturbed the snow piled around them. Kugung. With a loud rumble, the snow in the surrounding area began collapsing. Kaying. It was an avalanche. Quagwagwang. A massive wave of snow opened its gaping maw, high enough to swallow everything, and quickly began chasing Blackie family. Kaying. Guys, let's fly away. Blackie tried to escape with help from his subordinates who could fly, but... Pug. Kaying. He was hit by the snowball that suddenly flew out from the avalanche and was buried in the snow. And then... Kugagung. He became part of the snowball and began rolling along with it. Kugagung. Huh. Sejun looked up and surveyed his surroundings as he felt the ground shake. And then, oh, an avalanche. Sejun saw snow sweeping down from the mountain like a wave. Wow, Flamey, look at that. That's what an avalanche looks like. Sejun spoke as he placed Flamey on his straw hat. Since the avalanche occurred far from where they were, Sejun and Flamey could comfortably watch it. An avalanche. Yeah, when snow piles up a lot, it gets heavier. Then, if it's hit by an impact or the weight becomes too much to bear, it collapses all at once, creating an avalanche like that. I see. Sejun explained it to Flamey, without suspecting that Blackie family had caused the avalanche. It's really cool, though. The grandeur of nature. Sejun couldn't take his eyes off the magnificent sight of the avalanche. It really is. Sejunum likes things like this. I'll remember that. Flamey watched Sejun's focused gaze as he admired the avalanche. As the avalanche was almost over, Kugagung. A massive snowball began rolling quickly from the mountain toward where Sejun was. The gigantic snowball slowed and shrank as it was resisted by trees. And then, roll, thud. The snowball came to a stop right at Sejun's feet, revealing Blackie family fused into one lump. Killit Kang. The butler is spinning. Oh dear. No wonder I had an uneasy feeling. Sejun sighed as he looked at Blackie family, who had caused the trouble. Guys, are you okay? He quickly pulled himself together and checked their condition. You've got a slight fever. Keikaichu. Fortunately, other than catching a cold and feeling dizzy, there were no major injuries. Sejun lit the fire inside the house and tried to lay Blackie family down neatly in a row in front of it. Kaying. Butler, hold me and give me roasted sweet potato snacks. Blackie whimpered as he looked up at Sejun. All right. Plop. Sejun placed Blackie family into the sling bag and put roasted sweet potato snacks into their mouths. Kivil. Despite shivering from chills, Blackie smiled and chewed on the roasted sweet potato snack Sejun had given him. Then, Keikirorong. He soon drifted off to sleep. To keep Blackie family warm, Sejun wrapped the sling bag with a large cloth to block the cold wind and began preparing food that would warm up the Blackie family's bodies. He hollowed out some pears, added honey and the scooped-out pear flesh, and steamed them, steamed honey pears, which are good for colds. As the honey pear was steaming, Kueha, today is definitely a honey dish. Kugagung. The honey demon Kuengi smelled the honey from afar and returned rolling back a 30-meter snowball. He thought it was lunchtime when Sejun started cooking. Of course, it was actually lunchtime. Hut, is it time to eat, meow? Kaiwat. Then Theo and Iona also returned, rolling snowballs similar in size to Kuengi, and everyone sat down for lunch together. Aileen, this is called honey pear. It's delicious, try some. Tower's administrator says she will enjoy it. Sejun also sent some food to Aileen and began his meal. However, the tower's administrator says this looks easy to make and that she should try making it herself. Aileen, can we talk for a moment? When Aileen showed confidence in making the honey pear dish, Sejun quickly called out to Aileen. It's too much for your skills. But he couldn't just say that outright, so instead, Aileen, how's tower management going these days? Sejun smoothly changed the topic, trying to distract Aileen from the idea of cooking. And then, the tower's administrator says tower management has been very comfortable thanks to you lately. 119. The tower's administrator says she recently heard from Hakanapa that the Blue Tower has connected to a world inhabited by dragons. Fortunately, as Sejun intended, Aileen forgot about cooking and started chatting about what she had recently heard. Dragons. Those dragons looked similar to Eastern dragons, but they were far inferior in status. So basically, the author is confirming that the great dragons are the Eastern dragons, and the dragons in the level 10 world are the Western dragons. For more, search Google for the difference between Eastern and Western dragons. Whereas in the manhwa, the dragons are Western dragons from the start, at least design-wise. So let's see how this will play out in the manhwa, as they have changed the dragons' types from the beginning. It was like comparing gods and humans who had similar appearances. I have dragon bones. Would the dragons treat me well if I go there? Hazeli. Sejun imagined happily being honored and welcomed by dragons while finishing his lunch. After the meal, the second round of snowman making began. They needed to make one more snowball to complete their snowman. Kilahit Kaying. Hee Great Blackie has returned. Having regained their energy from eating honey pears, Blackie family tried to make snowmen again. But, no, you haven't recovered from your cold yet. Kaying. At Sejun's refusal, Blackie sulked, chewed on roasted sweet potato snacks in the sling bag, and fell back asleep. 3 hours later. Puhu Hut, the Supergiant Chairman Park snowman is complete. Meow. Supergiant Chairman Park. Theo proudly announced, while carving the name on a snowman that looked nothing like Sejun. Kueha Kyung. Hehe, Kyungi also finished making dad. Kyungi's dad Park Sejun. Kyungi was no different. His snowman also didn't resemble Sejun, but the name carved on it made it clear who it was supposed to represent. Kaiwat, I also finished Theonym. Well, Yona was the only one who made a snowman that perfectly resembled Theo. No, it wasn't even a snowman. It was more like a sculpture carved from snow. Perhaps thanks to her dexterity in carving intricate magic circles, Iona was also good at sculpting. After finishing the snowman, let's go home and get some rest today. Sejun decided to head back home. As Sejun and his group used the waypoint to return to the 99th floor of the tower. Supergiant Chairman Park. Kyungi's dad Park Sejun. My love Theonym. The 3 giant snowmen were left standing there alone. And beside them, Flamey Park, Kyungi Park, Blackie Park, the small snowmen that Sejun and Flamey had made, with their names carefully carved in. Bye guys, I'll come back again later. Flamey looked back at the snowmen they left behind and promised to see them again. You have arrived on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. As Sejun arrived, brother-in-law, why did you come back so late? Thud, 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 thud. A very excited Ace ran toward Sejun, his heavy footsteps booming. Ace now had a massive body. Just a few days ago, he had been a complete tiny, but now he was close to 3 meters tall. Naturally, his strength had increased as well. However, Ace didn't seem to realize how big he had gotten, as he charged towards Sejun as usual. Crash. He. Sejun felt a huge impact. You have taken a critical hit. You are in an invincible state. You take no damage. Fortunately, Sejun was still in an invincible state, so he avoided the embarrassment of collapsing in front of his baby brother-in-law. Brother-in-law, I've grown a lot now, so take me with you next time. No, I can't take you along. What, why not? I'm much bigger now, you have to keep your promise. Ace pestered Sejun relentlessly. However, that's exactly why. You've grown too big. Ace had simply grown too much. Chapter 556, Pay Attention. Drakenia. Boom crash kaboom. The dragons were currently engaged in a fierce war against the calamities. Fire. At the command of Evan Draken, the gold dragon who ruled over the 5 dragon clans of Drakenia. Kulu. Hundreds of thousands of dragons unleashed their breath attacks to kill the locusts, giant blood-sucking leeches, fire moths, petrifying spiders and slimes that had recklessly invaded Drakenia. Quagwagwang, the 5-colored breath attacks, imbued with the power of fire, ice, storm, lightning, and light, swept through the calamities. The calamities were annihilated in an instant. At that moment, Kugagung. Suddenly, the surroundings darkened, and enormous entities began to fall from the sky. It was the seventh calamity, the planet-destroying turtles. And not just one, there were 10 of them. Moreover, the energy emanating from each of them was no ordinary power. We must take the upper hand with a preemptive strike. Fire! Evan, who quickly assessed the situation, gave his command to the dragons. Kuwu! The dragons once again fired their 5-colored breath attacks at the planet-destroying turtles. Quagwagwang boom! The immense explosion stirred up a cloud of dust, making it impossible to see anything. There's no way they'd die from just this. Don't stop, keep firing. Evan commanded continued attacks. Quagwagwang boom! The dragons fired breath attacks until they were utterly exhausted. Zing! Beyond the dust cloud, 10 red dots appeared. Without a sound, red beams of light were fired. And then, everything touched by the red beams vanished cleanly, as if it had never existed in the first place. The first battle between the dragons and the calamities ended in the calamities' victory, with half of the dragons who had fought being obliterated. 99th floor of the Black Tower, morning. All right. Sejun opened his eyes. And 0.1, magic power has accumulated over 3 hours. Magic power increases by 0.1. The divine blood has passed through the heart of dark, the god of darkness. Divinity increases by 0.0001. 0.1, magic power has accumulated over 3 hours. Magic power increases by 0.1. Due to the effect of power, Sunfish Core, all stat potentials have increased by 30. As always, Sejun checked the messages that appeared after waking up. Divinity increasing by 0.0001 every 30 seconds. Magic power increasing by 0.1 every 3 hours, and all stat potentials increasing by 30 every day. Hasn't good. I'm growing well today too. Just wait a little longer, Aileen. Compared to the others around him, his growth was still meager, but Sejun was taking slow and steady steps toward his ultimate goal, growing day by day. Let her winda fawena. And Amornim, let's meet next time. I won't be beaten so easily then. He also vowed revenge against Amur, who had beaten him. While Sejun was feeling proud of his growth. Good morning, Sejun Nim. Flamey, who had been sitting on Sejun's palm enjoying the aura of sunlight he emitted, noticed Sejun was awake and cheerfully greeted him. Yeah, good morning, Flamey. While exchanging greetings with Flamey. Meow. Kaying. Sejun picked up Theo and the Blackie family and headed outside. Iona had returned to the Wizard Tower yesterday after receiving an urgent message. First, I need to make some attribute wine. Sejun went to the brewery and added cherries, lemons, and other ingredients to the samyangju he had prepared in advance to create the attribute wine. A little later. All done. The work was finished in an hour since all he had to do was combine the ingredients, sugar and alcohol in the right proportions, and seal the jar. After completing his work, Sejun exited the brewery. Kyung. Dad, did you sleep well? Kyungi, who had woken up from a good sleep, came looking for Sejun. Yeah, I slept well. Did you sleep well too, Kyungi? Kyung. Hehe, Kyungi slept well too. Kyungi replied cheerfully, clinging to Sejun's side. Kyungi rubbed its head against Sejun's body with a smile. Kyungi seems to be in a good mood. Sejun also smiled, infected by Kyungi's smile, and patted Kyungi's head. Kyurorong. Kyungi began to doze off under Sejun's gentle touch and soon fell asleep. After a while, I should go before breakfast. Summon door. After summoning the door leading to the 10th tower, Sejun asked, Patrick Nim, is it okay for me to go now? He checked with Patrick to ensure the first floor of the tower was safe. Patrick, the god of earth, says Stella Hisron is on the 4th floor, so it's fine to come. 4th floor. During Sejun's absence, The accumulated energy of creation in the 10th tower had exceeded 8 million liters, automatically unlocking the 4th floor. All right then, I'll head over, guys. Chug chug. At Sejun's words, his companions touched his body. Even though some were half asleep, none of them ignored Sejun's instructions. He combine. Chug. Though Flamey didn't have the power, she too touched her leaf to Sejun's body. The 11 divided powers combine into one, activating power. Strength to support 13 handfuls of sky for 13 seconds. Strength increases by 1300%. Click. With the power activated, Sejun opened the door and entered. Welcome. Welcome. Patrick, the god of earth, and Hamer, the god of farming, greeted Sejun politely. Yes. Sejun was taken aback by the god's unusually formal demeanor. What are you doing? Pay attention. Just pretend you don't know me and act normal. Flamey hurriedly spoke in an angry voice, ensuring only the two gods could hear it. And then, ha, Sejun, we're just so glad to see you. I came to give you the enhancing elixir. Under Tree of Creation, candidate Flamey's stern directive, Patrick and Hamer desperately tried to carry on the conversation without appearing awkward. A little while later, after finishing their conversation, the gods quickly left. Show me what I can upgrade, displaying the available upgrade options for the 10th tower. Currently possessed energy of creation, 11.036 million L. Let's upgrade the absorption power first. Sejun began upgrading the 10th tower. With the 4th floor unlocked, the upgrade limits had expanded, allowing him to freely use the stored energy of creation after a long time. Once he had upgraded all options to their maximum limits, Sejun returned to the 99th floor of the tower. Yuham. Ace, who had been sleeping in his mother's embrace, let out a long yawn. Puahiti. Today, I'm going to play with brother-in-law all day. Thump thump. Having grown another 10 centimeters overnight, Ace excitedly waddled his massive body towards Sejun's house, thinking about the fun he'd have. And then, knock, knock, knock. Ace tapped Sejun's bedroom window 3 times. His body had grown so large that he couldn't fit inside the house anymore. I knocked 3 times, so it should be okay to open it now, right? Muttering to himself, Ace carefully opened the window and peeked inside. The bed was empty. Swoosh, swoosh. Ace quickly looked around. But brother-in-law isn't here. Sejun was nowhere to be seen. Wah, brother-in-law left without me again. Mom, hurry and seal me. I want to be small again. Thump, 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 thump. Thinking Sejun had left again, Ace burst into tears and ran to Elizabeth. Ace, I told you that's not possible. Despite Ace's crying, Elizabeth spoke in a firm voice. Ace was still a baby dragon, not even a month old. Since his body and strength were growing rapidly day by day, using a seal to shrink him could cause side effects, such as deforming his original form. To ensure that baby dragons can properly recognize their own bodies and stabilize their strength, parent dragons only use transformation magic after the dragon reaches the age of 100. But hick, brother-in-law didn't take me, hick. Ace tried to make his case at his mother's firm voice, but his words kept breaking due to his unstoppable crying. At that moment, return time to go cook. Pew hut, sounds good, meow. Great hybrid chairman park, I want grilled giant piranha, meow. Hee, I want warm sunshine. Kyung. Kyungi wants food dipped in honey. Kilahit Kaying. Hee, butler, I want roasted sweet potato slices. Okay, orders taken. Ace caught sight of Sejun, who had just returned from the 10th tower, taking orders from his companions as he headed to the kitchen. Sniff, brother-in-law, brother-in-law. The moment Ace spotted Sejun, his crying immediately stopped, and he ran toward him. Baby brother-in-law, stop. Since Sejun wasn't in an invincible state, he quickly stopped Ace from charging into him. And, what do you want to eat, Ace? Sejun asked what Ace would like to have. Ribs, brother-in-law, I want to eat ribs. Ace answered without a moment's hesitation. Got it, just wait a bit. Yes. At Sejun's words, Ace waited quietly in front of the cooking area for Sejun's cooking. A little while later. Aileen, try this. Here the food is ready. After sending the food to Aileen first, Sejun placed each dish his companions had requested on the dining table. These ribs are for you, Ace, and take this fish soup to your mom. Okay, brother-in-law. Sejun handed the food to Ace outside. At this point, Elizabeth had recovered so much of her strength that being near her would exhaust Sejun, so they could no longer eat together. After breakfast was finished, Kyung, Dad, coffee time. Kyungi brewed coffee and brought it to Sejun. Yeah, thanks. Slurp. My son makes the best coffee. Kyuiha. Sejun gave Kyungi a thumbs up as he sipped his coffee. Brother-in-law, is that tasty? Ace, eyes sparkling with curiosity, asked Sejun. He want to try some? Yes. Kyung. Uncle Ace, here you go. Puahi, big brother Kyungi, thank you. Once Sejun gave permission, Kyungi brewed coffee for Ace as well. Although their family tree was a tangled mess, Kyungi and Ace adapted well, addressing each other as uncle and brother without issue. Hoo-hoo. Ace gently blew on the steaming coffee to cool it down before taking a sip. Slurp. Tui. It's bitter, why does brother-in-law drink this? The moment the coffee hit his tongue, Ace grimaced and spat it out. Kyung. Uncle Kyungi, understand how you feel. Try this instead. Kyungi offered a honey jelly to Ace, who was suffering from the bitter taste. Haha, Ace, that's the taste of adulthood. Sejun smirked triumphantly as Ace, now munching happily on the honey jelly, smiled widely. No matter how he looked at it, Sejun didn't resemble an adult at all. After coffee time ended, Sejun started busily moving around gathering various things. Brother-in-law, where are you going again? Seeing Sejun preparing to leave, Ace asked with anxious eyes. Sniff. Ace's mood dropped at Sejun's vague reply. We're going on a picnic. Go tell your mom that you're coming too. Huh, brother-in-law, I can go too. Yeah. Puahihi, got it. I'll go tell mom right now. Thump, 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 thump. Ace dashed off to Elizabeth to tell her about the picnic. My baby brother-in-law sure is excited. Watching Ace run off, Sejun continued packing the remaining items for the picnic. Today, he was planning to go on a picnic to the western forest for Ace, who couldn't go to other places with them. A little while later. Let's go. Pew hut, it's a picnic, meow. So exciting. Kyuiha. Kivihit. 119, Brother-in-law, this is my first picnic, Puahihi. I'm so excited. Sejun and his companions headed toward the western forest for their picnic. Wuang. Though Sejun's pocket had been vibrating faintly throughout their journey. However, neither Sejun nor his companions noticed the vibration coming from Sejun's pocket, as they were all too excited about the picnic. Chapter 557, I Need to Call an Expert. 99th floor of the Black Tower. Now close your eyes and count to 100, then you can search for the treasures I've hidden. Got it? At Sejun's words, the group's eyes sparkled and they all nodded. All right, then let's begin. As Sejun shouted, Pew hut, the treasures of Great Hybrid Chairman Park will be mine, meow. Treasure hunting is so fun, haha. Dad's treasures belong to Kyungi. The butler's treasures will soon belong to the Great Blackie. Pew I don't know what treasure hunting is, but it must be playing with my brother-in-law, right? I need to play hard. The group members steeled their resolve and closed their eyes. And then, guys, hide these. Where? Kwek. At Sejun's command, the poisonous bees and mushroom ants grabbed the treasures Sejun took out and scattered in all directions. The treasures included real treasures, food, and handmade coupons such as Sejun's knee monopolization coupon and Sejun's cooking request coupon. 25 meow. 26 meow. Good, still 70 seconds left. I need to hide quickly too. Sejun moved while listening to Theo's counting. At that moment, Kiva hit. The butler is hiding things. I should secretly peek. Blackie quietly opened his eyes, and his gaze met Sejun's. Blackie, do you want to be disqualified? Cover your eyes now. Kaying. No, I want to do the treasure hunt. At Sejun's words, Blackie hurriedly used his front paws to tightly cover his eyes. A little later, 100 meow. At Theo's shout, the group scattered in all directions to search for treasures. Pew hut, I feel a strong pull, meow. It must be an incredible treasure, meow. Theo ran following the pull. And then, Pew hut found it, meow. Theo pulled out a piece of paper hidden under a rock and celebrated. Sejun's knee monopolization coupon, 1 year. It was the longest duration knee monopolization coupon that Sejun had made. On to the next treasure, meow. Great Hybrid Chairman Park's knee will never be taken away, meow. Thea hurried to find the remaining knee monopolization coupons. Did you see any treasures? Flamey asked the kudzu roots planted by Kyungi while searching for the hidden treasures. Kyung. Hehe, I can smell Dad's scent here. Kilahit kaying. Guys, there's a roasted sweet potato smell here. Let's dig quickly. Kyungi and Blackie tracked scents to find treasures. And then, Puahiti, this is fun. Baby brother-in-law, what are you doing here? I'm watching my brother-in-law cook. Ace leaned on Sejun's head, watching him prepare lunch. Aren't you going treasure hunting? Puahiti, this is more fun though. Really? Among the treasures, there's also a coupon to order your favorite dishes from me. What, really? Yeah, there's even a coupon to order whatever dish you want every day for a week. A whole week? Brother-in-law, wait a bit, where is it? Hearing Sejun's words, Ace, a treasure hunt novice, began lifting random stones and digging through the ground to find the treasures. A little later, Puhut found them all, meow. Having found all the Sejun's knee monopolization coupons, Theo triumphantly approached Sejun. And then, Shug. Theo proudly handed over all the coupons he'd found and clung to Sejun's knees. 1 1-year coupon, 1 6-month coupon, 3 1-month coupons, 5 1-week coupons, and 10 1-day coupons. Wow, you found all of these. Sejun checked the 20 knee monopolization coupons and looked at Theo with admiration, as expected of a knee fanatic. While Sejun was checking Theo's coupons, Sejunum, I found treasures too. Flamey appeared holding small coupons. They were the smaller version Sejun had made for her. 5 1-hour sunbathing coupons, 5 30-minute coupons, and 10 10-minute coupons, totaling 20. Flamey found hers well too. Sejun, who had hidden coupons tailored to each member, felt relieved looking at what Flamey brought back. Kyung. Hehe, Dad, Kyungi found treasures too. Next, Kyungi also returned with the real treasures, food, and 20 coupons Sejun had hidden. Sejun's cooking request coupons, 1 1-week full-course coupon, 1 3-day full-course coupon, 3 1-day full-course coupons, 5 3-time order coupons, and 10 one-time order coupons. Kyungi had gathered every single cooking coupon Sejun had hidden. Kyungi managed to secure both quality and quantity. And then, Kilahit Kaying. Hit Butler, Great Blackie has also found treasures. Blackie family triumphantly appeared, holding 20 pouches of roasted and dried sweet potatoes that Sejun had hidden. Judging by the yellow smudges around their mouths, it seemed like they had already eaten a few on their way. Ping! Finally, Ace showed up tearfully empty-handed. Well, his hands weren't completely empty. Having dug through too much dirt, they were covered in soil. For a treasure-hunting novice like him, the competitors were too formidable. Kyung. Uncle Ace, take this and cheer up. Kyungi handed Ace none other than the 1-week full-course coupon. Kyungi Hyung, are you really giving this to me? Kyung. That's right, so Uncle Ace, don't cry. Dad said that men shouldn't cry so easily. Yes, I got it, Kyungi Hyung. If brother-in-law says so, then that's how it is. Ace hurriedly wiped his tears, carefully holding onto the coupon Kyungi gave him so it wouldn't crumple. Once the treasure hunt was over, let's eat now. Sejun handed out the lunch he had prepared to everyone. Thea received a grilled giant piranha. The rest of the group enjoyed a variety of dishes Sejun had made, including tteokbokki, pizza, and rice balls. Puahili, this is so good. As Ace happily stomped his feet while eating Sejun's cooking. Thud boom, thud boom. The ground shook. Puhu hut delicious meow. Hee, the sun tastes great. Theo, sitting on Sejun's knee, and Flamey, perched on his straw hat, didn't feel much of the vibrations thanks to Sejun. But, Kyung. Uncle Ace, stop stomping, the food will spill, and the herbs Kyungi grew will get hurt. Kyungi wasn't so lucky and float. Quickly used telekinesis to lift Ace into the air, preventing any further damage. And then, Kaying. Hey, do you want to get scolded by the great Blackie? Because of you, I fell over. Blackie, who had lost his balance and tumbled over due to Ace's vibrations, sprang up and barked fiercely at Ace. Of course, it was so small and adorable that it only looked cute. There was a brief commotion, but lunch continued pleasantly after Ace apologized to everyone. Once the meal ended, Kyung, Dad, here's your coffee. Kyungi brewed some coffee and brought it to Sejun. Thanks. Slurp. Ah, so good. Sejun gave an exaggerated reaction to Kyungi, who was watching him with expectant eyes, and Kyuiha. Seeing Sejun's response, Kyungi grinned widely. What does brother-in-law even like about that bitter stuff? Shake. Ace, unable to understand Sejun, shook his head in confusion. Slurp. As Sejun sipped his coffee. Puhu hut. Hee. Kyuiha. Kivihit. Everyone climbed onto Sejun's body and settled in, preparing for a nap. Where should I sleep? Ace watched Sejun and the others, deep in thought. His large body made it impossible for him to snuggle with Sejun. At that moment, plop. Sejun stood up, leaned against Ace's belly and said, Baby brother-in-law, rest your head on my shoulder. He gently placed Ace's head on his shoulder. This created a comfortable position for everyone. Kur, Gororong, Kurorong, Phew. Everyone drifted off to a peaceful nap, except for Flamey, who couldn't sleep. Hee. While the group was enjoying their peaceful nap. Busy. A vibrating sound came from Sejun's pocket. What's that noise? This time the vibration was quite strong, and since the surroundings were quiet, Flamey could clearly hear the sound. Wuyong. The sound grew stronger. Hub. Flamey, who had been listening closely to the sound, jumped off Sejun's straw hat and approached Sejun's pocket, pulling out the vibrating object, pouch of abundance crafted with utmost sincerity. The divine relic given by Li, the god of abundance, was vibrating. Hours remaining until the grand magic stream seed is complete. These words were written on the side of the pouch. The pouch of abundance crafted with utmost sincerity could replicate seeds on its own without taking them out, and Sejun rarely checked the pouch unless he needed to take seeds out. A few days ago, after 8 great magic stream seeds were created, they had combined into one, forming the grand magic stream seed. The problem was that the grand magic stream seed was so powerful that its very existence here was dangerous. I haven't even enjoyed my vacation yet. On the 7th day of their vacation, Flamey realized that the time to return was near. Blue Tower Administrator's Area. This is bad. Kin Astor, the administrator of the Blue Tower, frowned. The destruction of Drakenia has begun. Drakenia has been 15% destroyed by destruction. If Drakenia is destroyed more than 70%, the 14,124 worlds supported by Drakenia will perish. The ominous alarm from the crystal orb rang loudly. How did it come to this? When Qin first fulfilled the growth conditions of the Blue Tower with Sejun's help, he felt like he had the whole world in his hands. After all, it became the second tower to grow after the Black Tower. This was achieved thanks to Sejun's outstanding contributions, including his 5 great achievements accomplished in Risia, where he eradicated the 5 destructions. With Sejun's attribute Wine's effect, Qin gained control over water, securing more than 50% of unsubmerged land. Furthermore, for some reason, 5 world trees had grown in the Blue Tower. Meeting all the tower's growth conditions, the Blue Tower finally evolved into the Great Blue Tower. The Blue Tower is starting its growth into the Great Blue Tower. 10,000 days remain until the Great Blue Tower's growth is complete. You have grown 4 additional world trees as part of the growth conditions. The time required for the Great Blue Tower to grow has been shortened by 4,000 days. You have achieved 2 more great achievements as part of the growth conditions. The time required for the Great Blue Tower to grow has been shortened by 4,000 days. The Great Blue Tower's growth is complete. The functions of the Great Blue Tower have been activated. Risia will be temporarily incorporated as the 0th floor of the Great Blue Tower in 3 days. It all happened in one go. However, an unexpected problem arose when the Great Blue Tower connected to Drakenia, a level 10 world. Honestly, it was just bad luck. If the connected world hadn't been level 10, things wouldn't have escalated like this. At the time of creating the Sea of Dimensions, the Creator God established 10 pillars and 1 cornerstone as its foundation. Another name for the pillars created by the Creator God was the level 10 worlds. In other words, if a level 10 world were to collapse, a pillar holding up the Sea of Dimensions would collapse. And the lower level worlds supported by that pillar would be swept up in the collapse, leading to a chain reaction of destruction. What should I do? Qin fell into deep thought. In the past, when just one world collapsed, the guilt and sense of defeat left him bedridden for days. 14,124 worlds. Qin couldn't bear the thought of being responsible for the destruction of so many worlds. I need to call an expert. Zelga. Having made his decision, Qin called for Zelga, the Great Blue Tower's tower farmer, through his ice sculpture located on the 99th floor of the tower. Yes, you called for me, Great Blue Dragon. Go to Black Tower's tower farmer Park Sejun, and tell him that the Great Blue Dragon Qin Aster is requesting his help. Understood. To call Sejun. The Great Blue Dragon Qin Aster formally requested Sejun's assistance. Chapter 558, Aileen Shall We Meet? 99th floor of the Black Tower. 30 minutes remaining until the Grand Magic Stream Seed is complete. Swoosh. The entrance of the pouch of abundance crafted with utmost sincerity slowly opened as the Grand Magic Stream Seed began to emerge. This was because the pouch could no longer endure the increasingly powerful magic emitted by the seed. This is dangerous. Flamey quickly pulled the Grand Magic Stream Seed out of the pouch with her leaves and hastily buried it deep underground. And then, Sejunum, I think I need to go now, as Flamey looked at Sejun with a heavy heart. Sejun opened his eyes. Sejunum, you're awake. Thankfully, I'll be able to say goodbye before leaving. Seeing Sejun awake, Flamey was glad she could at least say her goodbyes. Did you rest well, Flamey? Yes. Flamey intentionally replied weakly, trying to create an excuse to leave. Flamey, what's wrong? Are you hurt somewhere? Hearing Flamey's unusual tone, Sejun asked in a worried voice. Well, I think I need to go back and rest again. Already? Didn't you say you could move around for 10 days? Sejun believed Flamey, being somewhat fragile, would rest deep underground to regain her strength before coming back to him. I guess I was wrong. Flamey awkwardly scratched her head with her leaves and replied weakly to Sejun's question. This time, she didn't even need to pretend to sound pained. Her voice naturally trembled with sadness. I'm sorry, it must have been because I brought you somewhere too cold. It's not because of that. Flamey urgently shouted at Sejun's apology. Every moment spent with Sejun had been so joyful, and I don't want Sejun to feel bad. She didn't want Sejun to feel sorry. Sejun, I was really happy. I'll come back again. I'll make sure you're happy next time too, so recover quickly and come back. Got it? Sejun gently patted Flamey as he spoke. Yes. With a big smile after receiving Sejun's pat, Flamey sank back into the ground as if being absorbed. And then, there's no time. Flamey quickly grabbed the grand magic stream seed she had buried earlier, which was in the process of completion, and hurriedly descended deeper underground. She needed to leave the 99th floor of the Black Tower. In Flamey's grasp, besides the grand magic stream seed, were also the square mittens Sejun had made for her and her 20 sunbathing coupons. These are my treasures. Everything Sejun gave her was precious. Splash! After descending quickly, Flamey escaped the 99th floor of the Black Tower and arrived at the Sea of Dimensions. Quoom! At that moment, the grand magic stream seed, having completed its evolution, exploded with magic power. You have passed the first trial, so I will release your seal. At the same time, Flamey's seal, which was part of the first trial to become a tree of creation, began to release. However, why am I so strong? Flamey was flustered by the immense power that surpassed her pre-sealed state. This was all due to the enhancing elixir Sejun had secretly used on Flamey, not just one drop, but two. With her power sealed, Flamey hadn't noticed any changes, but now that the seal was breaking, the effects were finally surfacing. And so the upgraded level 2 Flamey Park was born. Moreover, since you brought a seed 2 grades higher than the test required, I'll award you bonus points. With the voice of the trial statue, Flamey powered up once again, growing into a historically exceptional tree of creation candidate. No, at this rate, I won't be able to meet Sejun. Though she had grown stronger, there was no joy at all. Unaware of her turmoil, the grand magic stream seed began rapidly extending its stems as it absorbed Flamey's overflowing power. Flamey! As Sejun looked at the spot where Flamey had disappeared, feeling sad, you have achieved the primordial feat of germinating a grand magic stream seed. As a reward for the primordial feat, you are granted power, Master of Grand Magic. This power cannot be obtained with your current abilities. Title: One who glimpsed the beginning, twists causality to provide a reward. You are granted power, Master of Magic replica for 1 week. Messages appeared before Sejun. Did I germinate the grand magic stream seed? When Sejun hurriedly checked the pouch of abundance, crafted with utmost sincerity. It's gone. The pouch was completely empty. What happened? No matter how much he thought about it, Sejun couldn't figure out how the seed had germinated on its own. Does the seed automatically germinate elsewhere once it becomes the grand magic stream seed? That explanation sounded somewhat plausible. After all, there was no way a seed that required immense magic to germinate would sprout on its own. But didn't it say replica? Isn't this unfair again? Sejun felt confused as he sensed the massive power coursing through his body. He felt an overwhelming surge of confidence, as if he could do anything. What is this? Sejun quickly checked the power details. Power, Master of Magic replica. A weakened, 1-week replica of the power to control all magic streams. All stats plus 20000. Magic power plus 70000. You can connect to the 9 magic streams and use unlimited magic power for 10 minutes. Can be used 3 times total. Well, This is just the weakened replica. He couldn't help but marvel. He couldn't even begin to imagine how powerful the original power, master of grand magic, must be. But what does it matter? Flamey's not here. Sejun's initial excitement quickly turned into gloom. I guess I'll head back. Careful not to wake the sleeping Theo, Kyungi, and Blackie family, Sejun quietly stood up, gently lifted Ace, who was also asleep, and slung him over his shoulder. He trudged back home. After walking for about an hour. Chairman Park, cheer up, meow. Flamey will be fine, meow. Kyung, Kyung, Kyung. That's right, Flamyanuna will be okay. You don't need to worry. Theo and Kyungi, who knew Flamey's true identity, comforted Sejun. And then, Kaying. Butler, are you in any position to worry about someone else? Also, the great Blackie is hungry right now. Give me roasted and dried sweet potatoes. This doesn't sit right with me. Blackie, annoyed that Sejun was only worrying about Flamey, acted petulantly. Thanks to their efforts, Sejun's heavy steps gradually lightened. Oh, but with this level of power, couldn't I meet Aileen? Sejun suddenly thought he might now be able to meet Aileen. His original total stats were around 47,000. With power, Master of Magic Replica, his total stats increased to 150,000. In other words, Sejun's current total stats were close to 200,000, roughly on par with Ajax from a month ago. Of course, that was Ajax from a month ago, and Ajax's current total stats were around 300,000. Since Ajax was still young, he was growing rapidly by the day, especially with Sejun's crops accelerating his growth tremendously. Moreover, the awakened Ajax could wield power, Holy Dragon's strength, allowing him to use 10 times his normal stats, meaning the gap between him and Sejun was immense. But, I'm about as strong as Ajax now, so it should be fine to meet Aileen, right? Sejun's optimistic circuit only worked in his favor. Arriving home, Sejun gently set Ace down on the floor and, Aileen, shall we meet? Called out to Aileen. Sejun was recklessly risking his life. Perhaps this was a male's instinct. The tower's administrator sadly says that if you meet her, you will be in danger. Fortunately, Aileen stopped Sejun from being reckless. But I have a total stat of 200,000 right now. The tower's administrator says that her total stats are twice yours. What? Then Aileen's total stats are 400,000. The tower's administrator says it's higher than that. Then 600,000. The tower's administrator says it's slightly higher than that. The tower's administrator says it's 700,000. Oh, I see, haha. So I only need to raise my stats by about 500,000 to meet you. Instead of despairing, Sejun spoke with a bright voice. I've got it figured out. He saw hope. Why didn't I think of this until now? Stats gained through power aren't limited by potential. In other words, rather than struggling to raise his potential, achieving multiple feats and gaining powers to boost his stats would be a much faster way to meet Aileen. Moreover, by obtaining new powers, he might also gain something to make Flamey stronger too. Then I'll take Flamey with me on adventures every day. Once again, Sejun's optimistic circuits started firing again. But what kind of achievements should I accomplish? While Sejun was pondering, the Blue Tower's slave conveys that the great blue dragon Kin Aster formally requests your assistance, Sejunim. Zelga spoke to Sejun. A formal request for help. How is this different from what I've already been doing? Since Sejun had been helping dragons regularly, he was puzzled. At that moment, by the formal request of the great blue dragon Kin Aster, Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun has been temporarily appointed as a mid-level administrator of the Blue Tower. You have gained the power to enter the level 10 world Drakenia, which is connected to the Blue Tower. A quest has been generated. Quest, go to Drakenia and stop the invasion of destruction. If Drakenia is more than 70% destroyed by destruction, The 14,124 worlds supported by Drakenia will also face annihilation. All of your stay fee will be fully covered by the great blue dragon Kin Aster. Rewards: Salvation of Drakenia and 14,124 other worlds. All stats plus 100, 1 power official appointment as a mid-level administrator of the Blue Tower. Messages appeared in front of Sejun. This was his chance to achieve something. Sejun had a good feeling about this. A tattoo of a blue dragon appeared on the back of his right hand, proving his position as a Blue Tower's mid-level administrator, but it was obscured by his black dragon tattoo. Oh, so if there's a formal request, I can temporarily become a mid-level administrator, and he'll even cover my stay fee. This is perfect. Sejun marveled as he carefully read the messages. The fact that he was being asked to fight destruction didn't worry him much. He had already fought and won against destruction in several worlds. Although it said 14,124 worlds would be destroyed if Drakenia was destroyed, he wasn't too concerned about that either. We'll win. After all, they had already defeated 8 apostles of destruction. No matter what form destruction took, he was confident in their victory. Moreover, the reward included a power, which fueled his motivation to win even more. But Drakenia, where dragons live, is a level 10 world, huh? I wanted to go there anyway. Sejun, now able to enter Drakenia, was excited at the thought of testing whether his dragon bones would be edible to dragons. It would have been nice if Flamey could come to see the dragons too. Thinking of Flamey made him feel a little sad. Why didn't the enhancing elixir seem to have any effect on her? Sejun had no idea that Flamey had grown immensely strong because of the 2 drops of enhancing elixir he had secretly used on her, and that she was sad because of it. When I get there, I'll stop by the 99th floor of the tower. What should I bring with me? While Sejun was preparing to leave for the Blue Tower. Brother-in-law, where are you going again? Ace, who had just woken up, asked in a sleepy voice. Something suddenly came up. Ping! At Sejun's words, Ace immediately looked like he was about to cry. If Ace waits patiently, I'll take you on another picnic. Sejun patted Ace's head as he comforted him. Really? We'll play treasure hunt during the picnic too, right? Of course we will. Puhihi. All right. Then I'll practice treasure hunting really hard until you come back, brother-in-law. Good. After making a promise to Ace to go on a picnic when he returned, Sejun turned his attention back. Aileen I. He told Aileen that he had received a quest from the great blue dragon Kin Aster. The tower's administrator says to be careful and come back safely. Aileen wasn't overly worried. Sejun had grown significantly stronger, and with the title, Dragon Race's Helper, the dragons wouldn't dare look down on him. I'll be back soon. Swoosh. Sejun disappeared while unfolding the Blue Tower land deed. Chapter 559. Hehe. If you have dragon bones, you can call yourself a dragon. You have arrived at the 53rd floor of the Blue Tower. Sejun arrived at the Blue Tower. Zelga, I've arrived. Come pick me up on the 53rd floor. First, he contacted Zelga. This was because Zelga had the land deeds for both the 1st floor and 99th floor of the Blue Tower. As soon as Sejun finished contacting Zelga. Clang. Great Hybrid Chairman Park, I missed you, meow. Theo dashed out of the void storage and clung to Sejun's face. Kyung. Dad, I missed you. Kyungi also clung to Sejun's side. Kaying. Butler. Hub. Blackie also launched himself toward the sling bag Sejun was carrying. Kaying. However, his jump fell short, and he failed to reach Sejun, crashing to the ground. Sharalang. Ko. Pipiak. Mumu. Fortunately, Kabai, Karurur, Shari, and Mubelchill caught Blackie as he fell, flapping their wings vigorously to move him into Sejun's sling bag. Kivihit. Once Blackie finally settled into Sejun's sling bag, you have been recognized as the rightful owner of the 53rd floor Papaya Farm land deed in the Blue Tower. Land deed skill, farm information LV, max is activated. A message appeared stating he was recognized as the land deed owner. Heh, nice. Pluck, you have harvested papaya. Sejun smiled as he picked a perfectly ripened orange papaya. Slice. Guys, try this. He shared the papaya with Kyungi and the Blackie family. Kyung. It's delicious. Kilahit Kang. Hee, butler, give me more. Heh, I'm glad we came here. Sejun was satisfied seeing Kyungi and Blackie's reaction. After eating 10 more papayas with his companions, guys, help me harvest the papayas. They began to quickly harvest the papayas together. Hut got it, meow. Kyung. Theo harvested quickly with his speed, and Kyungi used telekinesis to harvest large amounts at once. And Kaying. Ji Golmi, make a big net with your silk. The rest of you shake the branches. For once, the Blackie family didn't cause trouble and instead helped with the harvest. Thanks to that, Sejun was able to harvest the papayas quickly and even register the waypoint before Zelga arrived. The water in the blue tower had largely disappeared, so there was no need to swim to the waypoint. A little while later, huff huff, Sejun Nim. Zelga came running towards Sejun from afar. And, Sejun Nim, here are the land deeds. Yes, thank you. Sejun used the land deed Zelga had prepared to move to the 99th floor of the tower and immediately registered the waypoint. Since Zelga had notified them in advance, the 99th floor boss didn't try to stop Sejun and his companions. After registering the 99th floor waypoint and obtaining title, one who reached the summit of 8 towers, Sejun used the land deed again to go down to the first floor to find the exclusive passage. Clack. When Sejun placed his hand on the blue hole in the floor, currently, there are 2 available destinations. Please choose your destination. Racia LV 3. Drakenia LV 10. The message appeared. Drakenia. Currently, 12 individuals are attempting to use the exclusive passage. Only temporary mid-level administrators have the authority to pass through the exclusive passage. The companions will travel to Drakenia through the temporary mid-level administrator's void storage. Phew, that's a relief. Sejun sighed in relief, thinking he would have to go alone. Would you like to pay the stay fees for all 12 and proceed to Drakenia? Yes, calculating the stay fee based on the stats and rank of Park Theo. The stay fee is 170,000 tower coins per hour. Since it was a level 10 world, the stay fee was 11000 of that of the level 7 world Hank. It was incredibly cheap, moving to Drakenia. With the message, Sejun disappeared into the blue hole. Drakenia. The atmosphere of the temple, the holy land of dragons where the blue tower stood tall, was at its worst. Lahi. Arg. Carrion. The painful groans and screams of wounded dragons, voices murmuring the names of dead dragons. We're all going to die in the end. Let's evacuate to the tower now at least. The temple was filled with the dragons' despair, overwhelmed by fear of the planet-destroying turtle's overwhelming strength. At that moment, everyone get a hold of yourselves. This is not the time for this. Evan Draken, the Dragon Lord, was struggling to rally the dragons. If he wanted to save even the remaining dragons, and to protect the other worlds that Drakenia bore the weight of, they could not afford the luxury of despair. However, what nerve do you have to step up after getting all the dragons killed? While they didn't outwardly voice it in the face of Evan's orders, there were dragons that were dissatisfied with Evan's orders. And, exactly, and why are we even bothering with those useless things? Yeah, why do we have to protect those half-formed things? Their anger turned toward 4 dragons, black, brown, purple, and green who, while technically dragons, were so weak they could barely be considered as such. There were 9 types of dragons in Drakenia. Yet strangely, the black, brown, purple, and green dragons could not even unleash breath attacks, and their strength was so feeble that the other dragons refused to treat them as equals. "What are you looking at?" When an enraged silver dragon glared at him, the black dragon Ash shrank back, unable to utter a word and lowering his head. "Who wants to be like this?" Inside, he was filled with resentment and frustration, but he couldn't talk back. Because what they said was true. They were weaker than the others, and therefore couldn't take on equal responsibility. At that moment, "It's coming!" a blue dragon who had been patrolling the skis shouted. "Zing!" At the same time, a red beam pierced through the dragons. Once again, everything in the path of the red beam was annihilated, dragons and even parts of the tower. An absolute, destructive beam that no one could stop. Scatter! The only thing the dragons could do was spread out to minimize the damage. Zing! Zing! The red beam targeted the areas where dragons had gathered the most, aiming for maximum efficiency. As the dragons scattered, this time locusts, giant blood-sucking leeches, fire moths, petrifying spiders and slimes, the 5 calamities descended upon the isolated dragons. No matter how strong a dragon was, if surrounded by the calamities, there was no answer. Thud! One by one, dragons fell as they succumbed to the calamities. A situation where they would die whether they gathered or scattered. "I'm scared." Ash, paralyzed by fear, felt his body freeze and his mind go blank. At that moment, "Wung!" a blue hole appeared in the air in front of Ash. And then, "Step, step! Dragons, come and witness my great and majestic dragon bones." Sejun emerged from the hole with a confident expression. At that moment, "Zing!" the red beam shot towards Sejun. But, for the first time, the beam failed to achieve its purpose and vanished into nothingness. This was because Sejun had gained the title, one who reached the summit of 8 towers, which added the effect of treating all worlds managed by the towers as the 0th floor. Thanks to this, retrogressor was triggered, granting Sejun invincibility for 3 seconds. Ouch, it's hot. Though he experienced excruciating pain. Shield come out. Even in the midst of his pain, Sejun hurriedly used power, insignificant and cowardly plunder to summon the shield of dragon horn that protects proudly from his void storage. Thud! The massive shield, standing 10 meters tall, was sturdily planted in front of Sejun. Zing! The red beam once again shot towards Sejun. However, the planet-destroying turtle's red beam wasn't enough to destroy the shield made from the horn of Kellyan Maimb, the leader of the Great White Dragons. Zing! Zing! All the red beams began converging on Sejun's shield. The shield only grew slightly warm but remained steadfast. Haha, as expected, dragon horn. Sejun smiled with satisfaction as he watched the shield fend off the planet-destroying turtle's attacks. Clang! Great Hybrid Chairman Park, I missed you, meow. Theo leapt out of the void storage and happily launched himself at Sejun's face. However, meow! How dare you, attacking my Chairman Park, meow. Seeing the planet-destroying turtle's beam attack Sejun, Theo changed course midair, dashing toward the turtle at lightning speed with light speed meow step. Kyung Kyung. You bullet dad, I'll punish you. Kyungi, who had followed Theo out and sensing hostility towards Sejun, became enraged and, Kwang, shot toward the planet-destroying turtle at supersonic speed. Pip pip, Sejun Nim, I'll protect you, peace spin. Peacebees, who came out next, dealt with the calamities approaching Sejun, and Kaying. Butler, I'll protect you, guys come out. Blackie began commanding the Destruction Devourers and Destruction Pioneers, absorbing the energy of destruction. Then, who are you, want to get punished? Blackie barked fiercely at Ash, who was standing behind Sejun. However, he didn't vanish even after being hit by that. He must be the legendary one. Ash, the Black Dragon, ignored Blackie with his insignificant presence and instead stared at Sejun, his eyes sparkling with awe. The incredible body that remained unscathed even after enduring the planet-destroying turtle's attack, and the overwhelming power radiating from his whole body. Moreover, the energy he felt was similar to his own, but of a much higher rank. The Savior prophesied to descend one day when Drakenia was in peril, a being who would save the world and perfect the dragons who lacked the power to do so. He must be a great dragon, and a great black dragon of the same color as me. O great hybrid black dragon, this humble black dragon Ash greets you. Thud. Black dragon Ash, moved by Sejun's black hair thinking birds of a feather flocked together, lowered his massive head and bowed to Sejun. Kaying. Thanks to that, Blackie nearly lost his balance and stumbled, but... Oops. Sejun quickly caught Blackie and placed him back into the sling bag. A black dragon. Sejun had been full of thoughts about showing off his dragon bones to the dragons, but when Ash called him Black Dragon, he felt slightly guilty. Other dragons would have foamed at the mouth if they'd seen this. However, there were no other dragons around, so... Yes, I am the great hybrid black dragon Park Sejun. It's nice to meet you. Hehe, if you have dragon bones, you can call yourself a dragon. With a shameless expression, Sejun impersonated a dragon and spoke down to Ash. After all, he had thrown hybrid in there, so it wasn't entirely a lie. In the meantime, the battle with the calamities was nearly over. Heb. The 5 calamities either died to peacebees, while having their energy of destruction stolen by over 1 million destruction devourers, or Pee-woo. Smack. Were killed by the 8 ink clones of Muckpupil. Pew hut. It's not me punching you, it's Super Giant Chairman Park punching you, meow. Giant Chairman Park's right hand punch, meow. Kyung. Kyungi is angry, feel Kyungi's wrath. Boom quang. The 10 planet-destroying turtles were being beaten by Theo and Kyungi, and were flailing about with their bodies flipped over. Pew hut. Great Hybrid Chairman Park I, Hybrid Vice Chairman Theo, punish those who dared attack Chairman Park, meow. Kyungi also punished the ones who bullied Dad. Pip, Sejun Nim, are you all right? As the battle ended, and Theo, Kyungi and Peacebees clung to Sejun's body acting cute. Who is he? Is he the leader of the ones who subdued the planet-destroying turtles? He must be an extraordinary being. The dragon's gazes, which had been fixated on Theo and Kyungi thrashing the planet-destroying turtles, naturally shifted toward Sejun. Lord, what are you doing? Quickly, greet the great black dragon. Ash shouted at Dragon Lord Evan Draken, who stood there blankly staring at Sejun. Great black dragon. But this isn't the energy of a great dragon. Evan, who had seen a great dragon only once in his life, carefully observed Sejun. Indeed, he could feel the energy of a dragon, but he also sensed divinity, the presence of a divine beast, and a rough energy. Rather, the shield beside him possessed a purer dragon's energy. What is this hybrid? As Evan frowned while looking at Sejun. Oh, not going to greet me. Sejun also frowned while looking at Evan, while the two glared at each other in an intense starring contest. Crash. Dares oppose the power of destruction. Suddenly the sky shattered, and the enraged voice of Leviathan echoed. And then, Mumu, Pee-poo. Mubelchill and Muckpupil cheered at the appearance of their new junior, in very hopeful voices. Chapter 560, Hee, Butler, a new recruit is here. Outskirts of destruction. Eek, why are the calamities decreasing again? Jormungandr became irritated, as the number of calamities advancing on Drakenia rapidly decreased. This time, they had expected a perfect victory and needed one. However, the results were leaning towards failure. This won't do. Leviathan, you need to go. What, me? Leviathan, who had just recovered after shedding its skin, flinched and asked in surprise. You're the youngest, so you have to go, or should I go instead? Hydra raised its voice at Leviathan's question. Otherwise, it meant Hydra would have to go instead. Since Kraken, who used to handle all the dirty work, gone, someone had to take its place. And that someone was Leviathan, the lowest ranked among the apostles of destruction. Ah, what a messed up snake life. Of course, obviously I should go, Leviathan said, frowning and quickly managing its expression as it felt the two of them glare at it. And then, well, I'll be going then. Wulong. They open a space leading to Drakenia. If I come back early, they'll just give me more work, so I should take my time cleaning up. Thinking about slowly destroying Drakenia, while resting as much as possible, Leviathan stepped through. However, an even more messed up snake life was waiting there. Drakenia. Leviathan, the serpent that summons tsunamis and 12th seat of the Apostles of Destruction, has descended upon Drakenia. A quest has been generated. Quest, expel Leviathan, the serpent that summons tsunamis and 12th seat of the Apostles of Destruction, from Drakenia. Reward, postponement of destruction for Drakenia, and 14,124 other worlds. Failure, destruction of Drakenia, and 14,124 other worlds. Why just expel it? We need to capture it. Hey, 12th seat of the Apostle of Destruction, that's nothing. Sejun smirked as he read the message. He was already a veteran hunter who had taken down 8 Apostles of Destruction. Technically 9, but Sejun still didn't know that Blackie was Fenrir. Here, everyone take these. Sejun handed out bean sets to his companions and prepared for battle. A good hunter always gave their best, even when dealing with the smallest prey. While Sejun was distributing 5 bean sets each to his team. Tsunami, swallow the enemy. Thud. Leviathan, now fully descended to the ground after squeezing through the gap, launched its attack. Unlike Kraken, Leviathan's thin body allowed it to pass through even the smallest spaces. QO. In response to Leviathan's call, a massive tsunami suddenly rose from the ground with a monstrous roar. It looked like a tsunami at first glance, but upon closer inspection, it was an army of millions of water-formed monsters marching forward. Enemy fire. QO. At Evan's command, the dragons snapped out of their daze and unleashed their breath attacks on the tsunami wave. There were planet-destroying turtles flipped over where the tsunami was heading, and if the tsunami flipped them back over, the situation would worsen. However, the dragons' breath attacks were about as effective as sticking needles into fabric, barely doing any damage. That's when the dragons are in danger, huh? Heh, I guess it's time for the great hybrid black dragon Park Sejun to step in. Sejun spoke loudly, making sure the dragons could hear him. As Hwick, with his left hand in his pocket, Sejun grasped the orb of death's energy and activated his skill. Harvester of Death. Swish. Looking at the tsunami wave, Sejun swung his right hand from left to right, parallel to the horizon. Swish. A giant scythe of death appeared in front of the wave and cut through it. The tsunami died instantly. More precisely, the monsters that made up the tsunami died instantly. Shyak. The monsters that had lost their lives lost their form and turned into water, soaking the ground. Unfortunately, there was no experience points. Hehem, did you see that? While Sejun was showing off to the dragons, after slicing through the tsunami wave. Meow, it's not me attacking you, it's Super Giant Chairman Park attacking you, meow. Super Giant Chairman Park's uppercut, meow. Bang! Thea summoned the Super Giant Chairman Park into his front paw and delivered an uppercut to Leviathan's head. Kyung Kyung. Calm before the storm release, Kyungi's thunder. Pug. Pajajik. Kyungi released all the power he had accumulated with power. Calm before the storm, at once, and struck Leviathan with his thunderbolt staff, electrocuting him. Because Leviathan was a water attribute snake, the effect was especially powerful. P-spin, P-spin, P-spin. P-spees also helped the two by interfering to prevent Leviathan from breaking his seal. While the older brothers bought time, Kilahit Kaying. He, Blackie family move out. Dedada. Blackie ran toward Leviathan with his subordinates. And, Leviathan, how can you call yourself a friend, making me work like that? You should have let me sleep at least 1 hour a day. Pee-poo. On Blackie's back, the resentful muckpupil and his 8-ink clone spewed ink, giving Blackie a boost of propulsion. During his time with Sejun's group, Muckpupil realized just how much he had been exploited by the Snake faction. Fueled by angry ink boosters' propulsion, Blackie quickly closed the distance to Leviathan. Thunk! He headbutted Leviathan and Kung! Leviathan lost consciousness and collapsed, bringing the battle to an anticlimactic end. Kirorong. Iamrarong. Karurung. Kuehab Kuung. Hehe, good work, little brothers. Thud. Kuungi safely gathered Blackie family and stored Leviathan's body into the void storage. Kiki. Kaya. Thanks to the increased food supply, the Destruction Devourer and Destruction Pioneer were overjoyed. Hut, was it you guys, meow? I've memorized your faces, who will become my subordinates, meow. Theo smiled while looking at Jormungandr and Hydra through the small gap of the closing hole. At that moment, what is it? Feeling an unpleasant gaze, Jormungandr turned its head to look at Theo, but the gap had already completely closed. Jormungandr Nim, what's wrong? When Hydra asked Jormungandr, who had suddenly turned its head. It's nothing. Jormungandr answered indifferently, refocusing on the destruction of other worlds. Meow. Theo, who had briefly lost consciousness under Jormungandr's gaze, came to his senses. And there was definitely a pull, meow. He looked at his front paw, which had felt drawn to the object Jormungandr was holding earlier. Hut, if I snatch what I felt drawn to from that guy, I'll be able to impeach the system, meow. Then great hybrid Chairman Park will become even greater, meow. As the fanatic Theo laughed sinisterly, after discovering the location of an important puzzle piece for impeaching the system. I apologize. I failed to recognize you, great hybrid Black Dragon Park Sejun. I am Dragon Lord Evan Draken. Sejun was now receiving a bow of respect from Evan Draken, the Lord of the Dragons. After seeing Sejun's subordinates easily subdue both the Calamities and an Apostle of Destruction, Evan had no choice but to believe that Sejun was a black dragon, even if it sounded unbelievable. Is he really a black dragon? Honestly, he still had doubts, but he couldn't dare question it in this situation. He had no choice but to believe. It was a slightly coerced bow of greeting, but, "All right, nice to meet you." Sejun graciously accepted the greeting with a satisfied tone. As Sejun acknowledged Evan's greeting, a quest has been generated. Quest, the balance of the world has been disrupted, causing the black dragon, brown dragon, purple dragon, and green dragon to lose their elemental powers. Help them recover their strength. Reward, strengthening of power, sturdy young dragon's solid bones. A new quest appeared before Sejun. Elemental powers. I can feed them crops with their attributes. For Sejun, this was an incredibly simple quest, and the reward was the enhancement of dragon bones. However, I'm not doing it. Sejun rejected the quest. The reason? At a condition, let our Toriong live here too. Because of Black Earth Dragon Toriong. Our Toriong who only eats dirt. Although it looked different, it was still a dragon, so it could become friends with the others, right? Sejun had always wanted to find friends for Toriong, who usually spent its time alone. Fortunately, the system accepted Sejun's proposal, and reward, strengthening of power, sturdy young dragon's solid bones, permission for Black Earth Dragon Toriong Park to stay. The reward changed. As the quest reward changed. All right, black dragons, brown dragons, purple dragons, and green dragons, come line up in front of me. Sejun lined up approximately 30,000 dragon and started cooking. They could eat it raw, but he cooked to enhance the ingredients' effects and increase his mental power. The menu was cherry tart, braised kidney beans, butter-roasted poisonous potatoes, and mugwort rice cakes. While Sejun was cooking, Pew Hut, any dragon who wants to be reborn as a true dragon, come here and get this stamp first, meow. Quick-witted Theo diligently stamped the feet of the dragons waiting in line. You have acquired one dragon slave. Due to the effect of title, Slave King, all stats increase by 1. Huh. This is dangerous. Sejun tensed up as he read the message. Usually, stats increase by 0.01 per employee, but maybe because they were dragons, stats increased by 1 each time. While it was a good thing, it was also bad for Sejun. If the stats filled up to their maximum potential, Sejun's battle aura would surge uncontrollably, leading to excruciating muscle pain. Please don't hurt too much. Sejun prayed for less pain and, Kyungi, give me a massage. Before the muscle pain could fully set in, Sejun asked Kyungi for a massage. A little while later, Pew Hut, Chairman Park, I finished stamping all of them, meow. Now we have so many dragon employees, meow. Theo proudly returned to Sejun's lap after stamping all 30,000 dragons. Yeah, good job. Sejun praised Theo in a relaxed voice as he continued cooking. Meanwhile, even though Sejun's muscles strengthened due to the muscle-strengthening technique from the enhanced battle aura, the resulting pain wasn't as bad as he expected. On top of that, Kyungi's massages helped enough that Sejun could still move comfortably. In the process, the proficiency of muscle-strengthening technique increased, and Sejun's stat potential rose by 5,000. This allowed his stalled stats to grow again, pushing Sejun's strength, stamina, agility, and magic stats all past 20,000. Nice, perfect. Black dragons take the cherry tarts, brown dragons braised kidney beans. Sejun handed out the finished dishes, according to each dragon's elemental attribute. However, these mugwort rice cakes are really delicious. The cherry tart is amazing too. Green Dragon Polly highly praises your food. Your soul becomes greatly fulfilled from receiving high praise from a high-ranking being. Mental strength increases by 5. Black Dragon now highly praises your food. It wasn't just the battle aura that was a problem. Sejun's mental strength was increasing rapidly. Even though they were inferior in rank compared to the great dragons, these dragons were beings who lived in a level 10 world. The effect was no joke. This is bad. As Sejun, who had already experienced that too much mental strength could be life-threatening, tried to stop the dragons from eating. As Hwick, Pew Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, don't worry about the ugly face, meow. Super Giant Chairman Park, please absorb Great Hybrid Park Chairman's excess mental strength, meow. Press. Theo began massaging Sejun's face while absorbing the overflowing mental strength. What does an ugly face have to do with excess mental strength? Apparently, Theo's concept of ugly was extremely broad. I think I can shoot a breath attack now. QO. As the black dragons, brown dragons, purple dragons, and green dragons regained their elemental powers, they began to unleash breath attacks one by one. You have defeated Leviathan, the serpent that summons tsunamis and 12th seat of the Apostles of Destruction, who had descended upon Drakenia. Quest completed. As a reward for completing the quest, peace has been restored to Drakenia and 14,124 other worlds. The quest completion message appeared before Sejun. And then, clang, Kilahit Kang. Hee Butler, a new recruit is here. Blackie family opened the void storage and brought out a small green snake, tied up in Jigomi's spider webs.